Chapter 1236. I'll let you off this time. Let's fight again next time. After saying that, the ice dragon turned around and left. Just like that, it escaped. Lu Ming did not chase after him. He transformed back into his human form and looked coldly in the direction that Ice Dragon had left. Ice Dragon was indeed very strong. Lu Ming still had some tricks up his sleeve and had not activated his third bloodline. However, even if he did, he might not be able to kill Ice Dragon. Moreover, he already had 9 keys. Even if he killed Ice Dragon, he would not be able to obtain more keys. Let's see what's inside the palace. Lu Ming flew into the sky and came to the front of the palace. There was a stone tablet in front of the door of the palace. There were 9 small holes on the tablet that looked like keyholes. With a thought, the 9 keys above his head flew toward the 9 small holes. The 9 keys all entered the small holes. Crack! The door of the palace opened. Just as I thought. Lu Ming revealed a smile. Without hesitation, he stepped out and walked into the main door of the hall. As soon as Lu Ming walked in, the door of the palace closed again. There was a large hall in the palace. Lu Ming looked around. Lu Ming found that there were several platforms in the hall. There were balls of light on the platforms. He could see that there were symbols under the balls of light. On one of the platforms, there were some elixir symbols under the balls of light. The expert of the Heavenly God sect said that there was an opportunity in this small plane. The key was with each of them. The opportunity, he mentioned, should be these balls of light. Lu Ming guessed and continued to look around. The symbols under the balls of light on the other platform were much more complicated. Below some of the balls of light, there were lightning patterns. Below some of the balls of light, there were flame patterns, water patterns, tornadoes, and so on. What's in these balls of light? How many can I choose? They can't all be mine, right? Lu Ming guessed. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming walked to the ball of light with the lightning pattern and reached out to grab it. Poof! The ball of light shattered, and a jade talisman appeared in Lu Ming's hand. So easy? Lu Ming was a little surprised. Then his eyes lit up and he reached out to grab another ball of light. He didn't move an inch. That ball of light seemed to be a layer of protective shield, firmly blocking Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated his quintessential essence and even unleashed his dragon power. However, the ball of light did not budge at all. He could not break it at all. Following that, Lu Ming switched to another ball of light, but the result was still the same. Lu Ming tried almost all the balls of light, but none of them could be broken. It seems that I can only obtain the items in 1 light ball each time I enter. Lu Ming guessed, but he could only give up. I wonder what's recorded in the pendant. Lu Ming was a little curious. What was the opportunity that the Heavenly God sect was talking about? His soul sense submerged into the jade plate, and he began to examine it carefully. It's a martial skill, a low-grade deity, level martial skill. Intent level martial skill? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with doubt after he took a look. What was an intent level martial skill? Lu Ming only knew about bloodline martial skills. Apart from bloodline martial skills, all other martial skills were ordinary martial skills. How could there be an intent level martial skill? Lu Ming had never heard of it before. Immediately, Lu Ming read the contents carefully. Thunder God Strike was the name of this martial skill. So amazing, so magical. After reading for a while, Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he was filled with amazement. He finally understood what an intent level martial skill was. Ordinary martial artists comprehended the intent level of heaven and earth. As their cultivation level increased, their power would become stronger. However, they had not unearthed the true power of the intent level. Ordinary martial artists could only use the power of the intent level crudely. For example, Lu Ming's fusion of 5 types of intent levels was only used to increase Lu Ming's attack power. However, the deeper aspects of each intent level were not unearthed. As for intent level martial skills, through special operations and application of martial skills, the power of the intent level could be displayed to the fullest, and the hidden power of the intent level could be used to the extreme. Lu Ming had never heard of intent-level martial skills in the divine wilderness continent. Intent-level martial skills were the same as ordinary martial skills. They were low-grade deity level and high-grade deity level. Low-grade deity level intent-level martial skills were mainly about the deeper application of the intent level. As for high-grade deity level martial skills, they were not considered intent-level martial skills. They should be called domain martial skills, and they could be used to the extreme of an emperor's domain. The power of intent-level martial skills was several times stronger than ordinary martial skills and even bloodline martial skills. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming looked carefully, and the more he looked, the more shocked he was. What a powerful and terrifying power! However, this is too profound. The difficulty of cultivating it is shockingly high. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Intent-level martial skills were powerful, but at the same time, it was even more difficult to cultivate. Lu Ming felt that even though they were both inferior-grade divine-level martial techniques, the concept martial techniques were 100 times more difficult to cultivate than ordinary inferior-grade divine-level martial techniques. Yes, 100 times. Intent-level martial skills were 100 times harder to cultivate than ordinary martial skills. Lu Ming frowned and looked carefully. In the end, he simply took out the Enlightenment ancient tree and placed it beside him to help him comprehend. Unknowingly, Lu Ming's mind sank into the Thunder God's strike, carefully comprehending its mysteries. After the War of Providence, Lu Ming's comprehension had increased tenfold. At this moment, under the Enlightenment ancient tree, his understanding of the Thunder God's strike was rapidly increasing. Lu Ming was completely immersed in the cultivation of the Thunder God's strike. Unknowingly, 7 days had passed. Bolts of lightning swam around Lu Ming's body, as if they were alive, as if they had spirituality. In the end, there were more and more thunderbolts on Lu Ming's body, and they became thinner and thinner. In the end, the endless thunderbolts were thinner than a strand of hair. Countless such thin thunderbolts were actually woven together to form a thunderbolt combat suit. It looked exactly the same as ordinary clothes. There was no difference at all. However, if anyone touched it with their hands, they would be struck to ashes by the power of lightning. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. The first level of the Thunder God strike has been successfully cultivated. Lu Ming muttered to himself. After 7 days of comprehension, Lu Ming had successfully cultivated the first level of the Thunder God strike. This speed was already very shocking. Some peerless geniuses could not cultivate the first level even if they spent their entire lives. Intent-level martial skills are indeed amazing. It can fully unleash the potential of the lightning intent level. I'm still at the first level. The further I cultivate, the stronger the power will be. Lu Ming looked at the Thunder Battle suit on his body. With a thought, the Thunder Battle suit dissipated into nothingness. It seems that Ice Dragon should also be cultivating intent-level martial skills. No wonder the ice intent level can unleash such terrifying power. Lu Ming thought of Ice Dragon. Chapter 1237. The Divine Ruins continent was worthy of being the top continent in the Divine Ruins continent. Martial techniques that had never been heard of in the Divine Wilderness continent were actually passed down here. Perhaps the 4 great palaces all had their own martial techniques. Most of the strongest geniuses in the 4 great palaces had come into contact with them. After cultivating for many years, their power must be extraordinary. Lu Ming guessed that Ice Dragon should have cultivated the ice will martial technique to the 2nd level. I didn't expect that 7 days have passed unknowingly. It's time to go out. I wonder how Xiaoqing is doing? Lu Ming was a little worried. He had fallen into the previous comprehension unknowingly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen to comprehend it at this time. He would have definitely looked for Xia Nianqing first. This place was too dangerous. The geniuses were killing each other to seize each other's keys and obtain opportunities. Even with Xian Yanqing's cultivation and combat strength, it was still dangerous. Without hesitation, Lu Ming walked out. Kacha! When Lu Ming came to the door opened automatically. Lu Ming stepped out. When Lu Ming went out, the door closed automatically. Whoosh! A blood-red key flew out of the 9 keyholes on the stone tablet and floated above Lu Ming's head. It was Lu Ming's key. As for the other 8 keys, they disappeared. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, a few figures flew out from the mountains below. Sure enough, someone has entered the palace. Stop him. Don't let him go. It's him. I recognize him. He's from the divine wilderness continent. Voices rang out. Lu Ming even recognized one of them. It was the top genius of the divine crocodile continent, Yi Kuang. After this period of time, Yi Kuang's cultivation had also broken through the bottleneck and stepped into the 6th level spirit god. A total of 3 people surrounded Lu Ming in 3 directions. When they came here some time ago, they discovered that there were 9 keyholes on the stone tablet in front of the door. They knew that someone had entered. The few of them waited in the mountain ridge below. True enough, they saw Lu Ming coming out from it. This person can't be underestimated. His combat strength is not weak. Yi Kuang said solemnly, "What are you afraid of? With the 3 of us working together, there's no need to be afraid of him." Another young man said, "Scram!" Lu Ming coldly shouted, "You are courting death. Let's join hands and kill him." A young man roared. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming stepped forward and punched out, shattering the man's body into pieces. Following that, Lu Ming charged towards Yi Kuang and his companion. "No!" Yi Kuang roared in horror. Bang! Bang! With 2 explosions, 2 more corpses appeared on the scene, and 3 more keys appeared above Lu Ming's head, turning it back into 4 keys. Lu Ming did not stop. He used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and flew in a certain direction. At the same time, he spread out his spiritual sense to search for Xian Yanqing. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure was like a bolt of lightning, extremely fast. In just a short while, they had already flown over 100,000 miles. Along the way, Lu Ming saw no less than 10 palaces in the sky. There were indeed many palaces in this world. Suddenly, Lu Ming looked to the front. There was a blood-colored light pillar that soared into the sky. Obviously, someone had obtained more than 6 keys, which was why the blood-red light beam was triggered. I wonder if Shao Qing is over there. Let's go and see. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He took a step forward and flew in that direction. After flying for a while, Lu Ming saw that there were also sky prides flying in that direction from other directions. Obviously, the others had also seen the light beam. Someone has obtained more than 6 keys. Kill! Quick! Don't let others get ahead of us. Voices sounded one after another. Lu Ming took a casual glance and saw no less than 10 young men flying towards the blood-red light beam. Sure do. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Among these people, Lu Ming saw Sure Du. Sure Du's aura was at the 4th level of the spirit god realm. Obviously, he had also broken through to the 4th level during this period. Ahead, on a mountain peak, everyone saw a young man in blue. There were 7 blood-red keys above his head. It's him, it's him. He's only at the peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm. He's mine. He's mine. Sensing the young man's cultivation, many people's eyes emitted a blazing light. Nearly 1,000 young sky prides had entered this time. The weakest of them was even at the 2nd level of the spirit god realm. There were even some at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm. This person was at the peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm. If they were lucky, he would really obtain 7 keys. If they could kill this person and obtain his 7 keys, they would be able to easily obtain 9 keys and enter the floating palaces to obtain opportunities. The young man in blue was shocked when he saw so many people. He turned around and fled. Where do you think you're going? It's too late to escape. Cold shouts sounded. More than 10 figures chased after the young man in blue. Lu Ming frowned. He faintly felt that something was wrong. However, he was fearless and chased after him from afar. In a flash, the young man in blue fled into a valley. Suddenly swoosh, 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 swoosh. 7 or 8 young men in blue suddenly flew out of the valley. Many of them had 5 or 4 blood-red keys floating above their heads. "Ha, so many big fish. We're rich." These people laughed loudly. "Not good. We've fallen into a trap. Let's go." The young men who were chasing after them were shocked. They knew that they had fallen into a trap. That blue-clothed young man at the peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm was only bait, and he intentionally obtained the 7 keys in order to draw others to kill him and then lead them into the trap. It's too late to leave now. The few young men in blue clothes sneered as they revealed powerful auras. 2 of them had even reached the terrifying 7th level of the spirit god realm. They were extremely fast. They stepped into the air and surrounded Lu Ming's group. 7th level of the spirit god realm. It's over. They're dead. Someone was terrified. Shurdo was the same. He was terrified and wanted to escape. However, he was surrounded by the young men in blue from all directions. Ah, Lu Ming. Shurdo turned around and saw Lu Ming. Previously, his attention was always on the young man in blue, and he didn't see Lu Ming. Only now did he see him. His eyes flashed with astonishment. 7 days ago, he saw Lu Ming being surrounded by Silver Wing and Man Fong. He thought that Lu Ming was dead for sure. He didn't expect that Lu Ming was still alive and well. However, he didn't have time to be astonished. Escaping was more important. Die. The 7 young men in blue attacked. Their sword lights slashed out. Ah! Suddenly, screams sounded out. 5 young men were killed in an instant. The remaining few fought with all their might to block the attack. Shurdo was a little more agile. He dodged the attack. Bang! Lu Ming waved his palm and destroyed the sword chi. Kill! Kill! Chapter 1238. Lion Do and the other young man were lucky enough to survive, but they were terrified to the point of screaming repeatedly. They were utterly no match for the 2 blue-clothed young men at the 7th level of the spirit god realm. They were too strong and could crush them. No, I don't want to die. Lion Do roared madly in his heart. He was extremely anxious in his heart, and his mind was swiftly thinking of countermeasures. Suddenly his eyes lit up. Lu Ming. 7 days ago, Lu Ming was clearly surrounded by Silver Wing and Man Fong, but he was still alive and well now. Lu Ming might be able to save him. He hurriedly charged towards Lu Ming and shouted, "Lu Ming, save me! Save me!" "Why should I save you?" Lu Ming sneered. Swish! At this moment, a young man at the 7th level of the spirit god realm made a move, and a sword light pierced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming blasted out with a punch and dispersed the sword light. This caused the blue-clothed young man at the 7th level of the spirit god realm to frown, whereas Lion Do's eyes lit up. Lu Ming was able to block the attack of a 7th level spirit god. At this moment, Lion Do seemed as if he'd grabbed onto a life-saving straw. We're from the same place, the same continent. At this moment, we have to work together. Lion Do shouted loudly. Work together? Why didn't you work together when I was trapped 7 days ago? Lu Ming sneered. 7 days ago, Lu Ming had noticed Lion Do's figure from the corner of his eyes. At that time, Lion Do fled faster than anyone, and he even took pleasure in Lion Do's misfortune. Now, Lion Do wanted him to save his life? Wasn't that laughable? I'm weak. Lion Do shouted loudly. What's the point of leaving a weak piece of trash in this world? Lu Ming smiled faintly, and then his figure flashed and left Lion Do. No, save me. Lion Do was almost scared to the point of wetting himself when he saw Lu Ming leave, and he wailed, "Lu Ming, save me. I'm willing to be your mount as long as you save me. I'm not interested in a mount of trash like you." Lu Ming said, "Die." At this moment, a blue-clothed young man at the 7th level of the spirit god realm approached Lion Do and slashed out with his sword. No. The lion roared unwillingly and resisted with all its might. However, it was completely useless as its head was sliced off by the sword. Lion Do die. At this moment, only Lu Ming's to kill Lion Do. Let's join forces. A blue-clothed youth at the 7th level of the spirit god realm spoke. Lu Ming did not see Xian Yinqing. He was somewhat disappointed and wanted to leave. "Since you've seen us attack, do you still want to leave?" Aye. A blue-clothed youth at the 7th level of the spirit god realm sneered. They came from a famous continent. However, if word spread that they had hunted and killed other elites, it would not be good for their reputation. Therefore, Lu Ming had to die. What's the point of talking nonsense with him? Let's attack together, kill him, and leave this place quickly. Roar. Lu Ming unleashed the power of 8 dragons and punched out 8 times in a row. 8 punches blasted out, and the 8 sword lights instantly collapsed. The punches didn't stop and continued to blast forward. 2 young men with weaker cultivations were directly penetrated by the punches. The remaining 4 coughed up mouthfuls of blood and retreated with heavy injuries. Even the 2 7th-level spirit god realm geniuses retreated wildly. Their expressions changed drastically. Not good. This person is too strong. Let's retreat. One of the 7th-level spirit god realm geniuses roared in fear and wanted to escape. Kill! Lu Ming stepped forward. His fist aura was shocking, shrouding the remaining 6 people. A few shrill cries resounded out successively as the remaining blue-clothed young men were annihilated. Even if there were 2 existences at the 7th level of the spirit god realm, they were only able to resist a few moves before being annihilated as well. In just a short moment, more than a dozen geniuses had died in this area. These geniuses stood at the peak of their respective continents. They looked down on their peers and were invincible. They had awakened a 9th-level divine bloodline, and it was certain that they would become emperors in the future. But here, their lives were like grass that were constantly being harvested. This way, Lu Ming was even more worried about Xian Yinqing's safety. Buzz! 9 blood-red keys floated above Lu Ming's head, and a beam of light shot up into the sky. However, Lu Ming didn't have the time to pay attention to it, nor did he have the time to open a palace and obtain the fortuitous opportunities inside. He only wanted to find Xian Yinqing first. Whoosh! He stepped forward and used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps to the extreme, flying into the distance. His speed was extremely fast, and he was like a bolt of lightning that flashed in the sky. What's that? A beam of blood-red light? It looks like a blood-red beam of light. There was a blood-red beam of light above Lu Ming's head. Under Lu Ming's high-speed flight, it was like a huge blood-red iron rod that swept across the void, attracting the attention of many people. But many people had only just seen it when the blood-red beam of light had already disappeared into the distance. It was truly too fast. Lu Ming used his spiritual sense to the extreme and radiated it in all directions to search for Xian Yinqing's whereabouts. Fortunately, this small world wasn't very big. Lu Ming quickly arrived at the end. Ahead was a chaotic void. Lu Ming turned around and continued to search. An intense battle was taking place in the sky above a lake. 2 7th-level spirit god experts were joining forces to battle a peerless beauty. This woman was precisely Xian Yinqing. At this moment, there were 5 blood-red keys above Xian Yinqing's head, and the 2 7th-level spirit god youths each had 5 blood-red keys. The 2 7th-level spirit god experts joining forces were actually unable to take down Xian Yinqing for a moment. After more than 7 days, Xian Yinqing's cultivation had improved again, reaching the peak of the 6th-level spirit god. However, her combat strength was incomparably terrifying, and she could fight 2 7th-level spirit god geniuses by herself. Devilish chi seethed on Xian Yinqing's body, and it was vast and mighty as it formed numerous terrifying devilish palm prints that smashed towards the other 7th-level spirit god realm expert and entered into a battle with the other two. For a time, it was difficult to determine the outcome. Not far from the battlefield, there were 3 figures. One of the youths had a tall and sturdy figure, and he had a huge golden hoop on his nose. He crossed his arms and watched quietly. At the side, the other 2 youths stood respectfully by his side. I didn't expect that a woman who hasn't grasped a concept, martial skill, would actually have such combat strength. It's truly rare. The youth with the nostril hoop spoke indifferently as he looked at Xian Yinqing's peerless beauty, and his eyes flashed with a fiery light. This woman is indeed powerful. If young Master Niu can take her down, you can take her as a concubine. At the side, a youth revealed a flattering smile and flattered. The youth with the nostril hoop revealed an expression of interest and said, "Yes, let's wait and see." Damn it. Who is this woman? She actually has such combat strength. We must take her down as soon as possible and not be looked down upon by young Master Niu. One of the youths that besieged Xian Yinqing roared in his heart. The 2 of them gnashed their teeth and attacked Xian Yinqing with all their strength. Chapter 1239. Although Xian Yinqing was at a disadvantage, her expression was calm. The demonic aura on her body slowly converged and covered her body like a battle armor. God-slaying demonic sword. Suddenly, Xian Yinqing's glabella lit up and a black demonic sword flew out and slashed down at one of the experts in the 7th level of the spirit god realm. The other party attacked to block, but Xian Yinqing's demonic sword was like an illusion. It slashed through the other party's attack and layers of defense, cutting through the other party's glabella. There was no wound, but the other party's eyes suddenly widened and revealed an extremely shocked expression. But in the next moment, the other party's eyes lost focus and his body fell down. Dead. This person was killed by Xian Yinqing with a single slash. Swoosh. After killing this person, Xian Yinqing controlled the demonic sword and slashed across the other person's body. There was still no wound, but that person screamed and his body shook violently. He frantically retreated and his aura was weak, as if he had been seriously injured. What a pity, Xian Yinqing muttered. Then her delicate body trembled and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her small face was a little pale. Obviously, that move just now had put a huge burden on her. How is this possible? The 2 people beside the nostril ring youth were dumbfounded. God-slaying spirit god realm, what a powerful move. The nostril ring youth had a grave expression, but the light in his eyes was even more intense. You get lost, you useless thing. The nostril ring youth stepped out and casually glanced at the injured young man and coldly scolded. The young man gritted his teeth, but he didn't dare to refute. This nostril ring youth was one of the 3 strongest geniuses of the Western God Palace. His strength was terrifying and his methods were cruel. He didn't dare to refute. Girl, surrender. Although you have some skills, you don't have the power to resist in front of me. The nostril ring youth walked step by step towards Xian Yinqing. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. The 8th level of the spirit god realm. Xian Yinqing's eyes flashed with a hint of decisiveness. This nostril-hooded youth was giving her immense pressure, but it was impossible for her to surrender. Xian Yinqing's stature flashed, and he retreated like a wisp of devil light. You can't escape from me. The young man with the nostril ring did not panic. Lightning flashed on his body, and his body seemed to have turned into a bolt of lightning. He tore through the void and approached Xian Yinqing at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! At the same time, the youth with the nostril ring waved his hand, and a chain completely condensed from thunder and lightning wrapped around Xian Yanqing. Sky Demon Force Field! Xian Yanqing shouted as the heavenly demon force field exploded with full force. At the same time, she used bloodline fusion to increase the power of the heavenly demon force field to the extreme. Within the heavenly demon force field, the lightning chain's speed suddenly slowed down. What a miraculous force field! It has a trace of the power of a domain. Unfortunately, your cultivation is too weak. The youth with the nostril rings' eyes turned cold. Lightning flashed all over his body, and the lightning chain suddenly exerted force, cutting the heavenly demon force field in half and wrapping around Xian Yanqing at an extremely fast speed. Heavenly demon, great palm! Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon bloodline sent out a few palm prints, but they exploded after being hit by the lightning chain. Xian Yanqing's face turned even paler, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. I said, "You can't resist in front of me." The youth with the nostril ring spoke coldly with an arrogant expression. God-slaying demon sword. Xian Yanqing gritted her teeth. Ignoring her injuries, she unleashed the full power of the god-slaying demon sword. Her forehead glowed, and a black sword light slashed through the void toward the youth with the nostril ring. Facing this sword, the youth with the nostril ring revealed a slightly serious expression, and the power of thunder and lightning on his body surged. Nine Thunder Sword! The youth with the nostril ring slashed down with his hand, and a battle sword flashing with lightning slashed out, clashing with Xian Yanqing's demonic sword. With a bang, the Nine Thunder Sword gave off a blazing light, hoping to block the demonic sword. But in the end, it only blocked a portion of the sword, and a small portion continued to slash toward the youth with the nostril ring. Block it! The youth with the nostril ring was covered in lightning, forming a lightning armor that blocked the demonic sword. In the end, the demonic sword was weakened layer by layer, and only a sliver of it reached the youth with the nostril ring. The youth with the nostril ring trembled as if he had been struck by lightning, and he took a step back. Damn it! You dare to injure my soul! The youth with the nostril ring roared, and his expression was extremely dark. Xian Yanqing's body trembled, and she retreated, spitting out another mouthful of blood. Little girl, I didn't want to hurt you, but you asked for it. The youth with the nostril ring shouted coldly, and his body was covered in lightning. He stepped forward and quickly approached Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing sighed in her heart, and then a trace of viciousness appeared in her eyes. Even if she died, she would not let herself fall into the hands of the youth with the nostril ring. Ah, what's that? Suddenly, a youth looked into the distance and exclaimed. The youth with the nostril ring and Xian Yanqing subconsciously looked in that direction. In that direction, a blood-red beam of light was moving at a terrifying speed. It was as if a blood-red stick was tearing through the void. Rumble! The sound of space exploding was heard, and they saw a youth flying toward them at a terrifying speed. Because he was so fast, the space was shattered. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing exclaimed. The person who came was Lu Ming. Halt! A youth stepped out and blocked Lu Ming's path. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted coldly and threw out a punch. The terrifying fist force enveloped the youth with an unstoppable force. The youth's pupils dilated rapidly, and in the next moment he screamed in pain and his body exploded in the air. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed and appeared beside Xian Yanqing. Little Qing, you're injured. Seeing Xian Yanqing's pale face and the blood at the corner of her mouth, Lu Ming's heart ached. However, he was relieved that Xian Yanqing was fine. Lu Ming, I'm fine. Xian Yanqing smiled. She was so beautiful that even the young man with the nostril ring was stunned by her beauty. Little Qing, don't worry, I'll avenge you. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and wiped away the blood at the corner of Xian Yanqing's mouth. Seeing Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's intimate expressions, the youth with the nostril ring showed jealousy in his eyes. He shouted coldly, "Brat, how dare you kill my men and stand beside my woman? You're courting death." "Your woman?" Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He looked at the youth with the nostril ring and said, "Just because of what you said, I'll kill you." "Ha ha ha, kill me? Brat, with just you?" The youth with the nostril ring laughed. "Lu Ming, be careful. This person is one of the 3 strongest geniuses of the West Divine Palace, Lei Niu." Xie Nianqing whispered, "Don't worry, he'll become a dead bull soon." Chapter 1240. Die. Lei Niu shouted coldly and waved his hand. A lightning chain flew out and wrapped around Lu Ming. Roar! 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 Dragon roars came from Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed 9 strands of dragon energy. Lei Niu was one of the 3 strongest geniuses of the Western Divine Palace. He was at the same level as Ice Dragon. It was very likely that he had grasped a martial skill. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't be careless. 9 strands of dragon energy exploded out. Boom! Lei Niu threw out a punch, and the space within a dozen miles exploded into nothingness. Lei Niu's lightning chain also collapsed in an instant. A terrifying fist energy continued to fly towards Lei Niu. Lei Niu's face changed drastically. The power of Lu Ming's punch was too shocking. It had far exceeded his expectations. 9 lightning sword. A huge lightning sword appeared in Lei Niu's hand, and he slashed down. Boom! The lightning sword and Lu Ming's fist energy clashed. The sky was filled with lightning. Half of the sky was filled with lightning. It was like a punishment from the heavens. It's indeed a martial skill. Furthermore, it's like the thunder god's strike. It's a martial skill with a thunder intent. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Lei Niu had used the thunder intent to a terrifying extent. There was no other way to use it other than a martial skill with the thunder intent. Kill! Lei Niu roared and charged towards Lu Ming with the lightning sword in his hand. Lu Ming's strength made Lei Niu want to kill him. Kill! Lu Ming also charged towards Lei Niu. The 5-colored intent revolved around him. With a wave of his hand, the terrifying power of the suppressing Hell Heaven skill exploded out. Boom! Lu Ming threw out another punch at the 9 lightning sword. The land of lightning was like the might of the heavens. However, Lu Ming wasn't afraid of the might of the heavens. He broke through the might of the heavens and charged upwards, destroying the 9 lightning sword. Lei Niu's face darkened. Lu Ming's cultivation was clearly at the early stage of the 7th level spirit god realm. His cultivation was lower than Lei Niu's, but Lu Ming was able to fight him. He was a peerless genius, unrivaled among those of the same level. No one had ever been able to fight him with a cultivation base lower than his. Kill, kill! 9 different colors appeared on the lightning sword in his hand. 9 different types of lightning energy converged, and its power became even more terrifying. Boom! 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 Lu Ming punched out continuously. On his fist, the shadow of a stone tablet was faintly discernible. The hell-suppressing heaven art clashed with the thunder battle sword, causing the world to shake. Chila! A bolt of lightning as thick as an arm was sent flying and landed on a mountain range in the distance. That mountain range was thousands of miles long. Under the power of the lightning, it exploded, turning into rubble and dust. Boom! A fist energy landed on the ground, creating an immeasurably deep hole in the ground. Blazing lava gushed out from the ground. The 2 of them exchanged more than 10 moves in a row, but it was hard to determine the victor. Moo! The Thunder Bull suddenly let out a loud roar. His body rapidly grew, and finally he turned into a giant bull that was as big as a mountain. His entire body was covered with lightning. The Thunder Bull was a demonic beast, and this was his true form. Bang! Bang! The giant Thunder Bull stepped on the void, and his 2 sharp horns were like heavenly blades. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two sharp horns shone and slashed out two combat sabers condensed by thunder, slashing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming threw out two punches, and the two lightning blades were sent flying. However, his body trembled slightly, and he took 2 steps back. The demonic beasts were stronger in their true form. 9 lightning sword, 10,000 sword kill. The Thunderbull shouted. The lightning energy on his body was even more shocking. Endless lightning spread out, and some were even thicker than a water tank. With the Thunderbull as the center, they shot out and danced in the sky. Lu Ming! Not far away, Xian Yanqing's demonic qi spread out, and he was resisting the force outside. He had a worried look on his face. Who is this person? He actually forced young Master Thunderbull to use his strongest combat strength. In the distance, there were 2 young men who were shocked to see this scene. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Endless lightning gathered on the Thunderbull's body, and it turned into 9 colored battle swords that slashed towards Lu Ming. This was the power of intent realm martial techniques. It could kill everything, and it was like a lightning tribulation that could destroy all life. Roar! At this moment, Lu Ming turned into 9 dragons, and 9 dragon claws stepped out continuously. The sky shook, and there was a dense explosion. The lightning swords exploded in the sky. Kill! The 9 dragons stepped forward, and they rushed towards the Thunderbull, clawing at him. Bang! The dragon claw landed on the Thunderbull's body, but it was blocked by layers of barriers. First was the lightning armor. The dragon claw pierced through the lightning armor and landed on the Thunderbull's body. It was like hitting a drum. With a bang, the dragon claw bounced off. At the same time, the Thunderbull's horns glowed, and a lightning bolt struck Lu Ming. However, it was blocked by Lu Ming's defenses. Moo! Roar! A dragon and a bull fought in the sky, and it was as if they had returned to prehistoric times. After more than 10 moves, it was difficult to determine the winner. Kid, let's fight again next time. The Thunderbull said. The more he fought, the more shocked he was. He felt that Lu Ming's strength was endless. Every time he was hit by Lu Ming's dragon claws, he would feel pain all over his body. He couldn't help but want to retreat. Want to leave? Did I allow you to leave? Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. Humph, kid, although you're strong, I'm not weak either. You can't do anything to me. The Thunderbull snorted. Is that so? Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded. In the next moment, a drop of blood appeared, and a layer of blood light appeared on the 9 dragons' bodies. The 3rd bloodline. As soon as the blood light appeared, the 9 dragons' strength suddenly skyrocketed. With a claw, they broke through the Thunderbull's defenses, leaving a deep claw mark on his body, and blood flowed out. The Thunderbull was furious. He didn't expect Lu Ming to be holding back. Moo! The Thunderbull roared and wanted to rush out. Bang! Every step of the 9 dragons' stomp could pierce through the sky. The lightning on the Thunderbull's body was scattered, leaving wounds on his body. Blood flowed out, and even his bones were exposed. The Thunderbull roared crazily. He felt a chill in his heart. Lu Ming was too strong and could threaten his life. He rushed out crazily. Kill! Lu Ming roared. 9 dragon claws grabbed one of the Thunderbull's front legs and tore it apart. With a tearing sound, one of the Thunderbull's front legs was torn off by Lu Ming. The Thunderbull wailed. Thunderbolt escape. He let out a long roar as strands of blood wrapped around his body. Afterward, the Thunderbull's body shrunk rapidly and turned into a bolt of lightning. With a flash, he rushed thousands of miles away and disappeared into the distance with another flash. So fast! Lu Ming frowned. It was too late to chase now. This Thunderbull's life-saving means were not bad. Young Master, Thunderbull lost. Run, run. The remaining 2 screamed in horror and ran for their lives. But in a flash, Lu Ming appeared in front of them. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming slapped them twice. The 2 of them screamed miserably, vomiting blood and retreating. Shao Qing, I'll leave these two for you to kill. Lu Ming said. Spare me. Chapter 1241. After killing the two, there were a total of 9 keys above Xian Yinqing's head, and a blood-red pillar of light shot into the sky. It complemented the blood-red pillar of light above Lu Ming's head. Little Qing, let's go and open that palace together. Lu Ming walked towards Xian Yinqing. Xian Yinqing nodded. The two of them walked side by side and flew towards the nearest palace. Not long after, a palace appeared in their field of vision. However, the blood-red pillars of light from the two of them were too eye-catching. Swoosh! Swoosh! 7 or 8 young experts flew over from all directions. Their eyes were blazing with passion. Both of them have 9 keys each. Some people's eyes lit up. Get lost! Lu Ming directly punched the strongest person among them. A fist energy pierced through the sky and struck toward that person. The terrifying pressure made that person's soul leave his body. He tried his best to set up a defense, but in the end he was still hit by Lu Ming's punch and spat out a mouthful of blood. Hiss, hiss, hiss! The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. Everyone recognized that person just now. He was a genius who had stepped onto the 36 Big Dipper Peak, and his cultivation was at the peak of the 7th level spirit god realm. He was actually hit by Lu Ming until he spat out a mouthful of blood, which made everyone terrified. A monster. Go, go! Run! The remaining people fled in all directions, wishing they could grow 2 more legs. Before long, not a single one of them was left. Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to them and came to the front of the palace with Xian Yinqing. There was also a stone tablet in front of the door of the palace. There were 9 keyholes on the stone tablet. Little Qing, you go first, Lu Ming said. Xian Yinqing nodded. With a thought, 9 blood-red keys flew into the keyholes, and the door opened. Lu Ming, I'll go in and wait for you, Xian Yinqing said. I don't know if 2 people can enter in a row. You go in first. If I don't go in, it means that I went to another palace. You don't have to wait for me, Lu Ming said. Xian Yinqing nodded and stepped through the door. After Xian Yinqing stepped through the door closed automatically. I wonder if it's still useful. Lu Ming's mind moved, and the 9 keys flew towards the 9 keyholes. Unfortunately, the 9 keys stayed outside, unable to enter. As expected, it's useless. Only one person can enter a palace at a time. Lu Ming shook his head and walked away. Not long after, Lu Ming found another palace. There was obviously no one in this palace. Lu Ming opened the door of the palace with 9 keys and stepped in. The scene in the hall was almost the same as the last time he saw it. There were also a few shelves. On the shelves there were balls of light. Under the balls of light there were different symbols. Lu Ming sized them up carefully, pondering how he should make his choice. He had the Thunder God strike for the time being. If he chose another one, he wouldn't have time to cultivate it. The Thunder God strike was enough for Lu Ming to comprehend. If he could cultivate the Thunder God strike to the highest level, its power would be shocking. It would be enough for the time being. Learning another one wouldn't be of much use. Lu Ming pondered for a while and decided to choose a pill. If it could be placed together with a concept martial skill, it wouldn't be bad. However, the symbols of the pills looked similar. He couldn't tell what pill it was, so he could only choose randomly. Lu Ming grabbed at a ball of light. The ball of light shattered and a jade bottle appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Domain condensing pill. There was a label on the jade bottle with 3 words written on it. It's actually a domain condensing pill. Lu Ming's eyes lit up with a blazing light. His heart couldn't help but beat faster. He had heard of the domain condensing pill before. However, it didn't exist in the divine wilderness continent. It was only a legend. If a spiritual god at the Great Perfection stage wanted to advance, he would have to transform his concept into a domain. However, this step was undoubtedly extremely difficult, shockingly difficult. If he could condense a domain, he would be considered a prime. However, if a spiritual god at the Great Perfection stage took the domain condensing pill, it would greatly increase the chances of condensing a domain. It would even make it easier to condense a complete domain. This was a priceless treasure. Its value was immeasurable. The Heavenly God sect was indeed a major force in the Yuanlu. They could even casually take out the domain condensing pill as a reward. Or perhaps a peerless divine pill like the domain condensing pill was just ordinary in the eyes of the Heavenly God sect. However, this was definitely a peerless divine pill for Lu Ming. If Lu Ming's cultivation reached the Great Perfection stage, this domain condensing pill could help Lu Ming reach the prime stage quickly. Lu Ming carefully put it away. Then he tried the other balls of light. As expected, none of them could be opened. Let's go take a look at Xiao Qing. Lu Ming didn't stop. He went out of the hall and arrived at the hall that Xian Yinqing had entered. However, the door of Xian Yinqing's hall was tightly shut. Xian Yinqing didn't come out. Lu Ming stopped at a nearby mountain peak and let Dandan keep watch outside. Lu Ming entered the mountain river diagram and sat under the tree of enlightenment to comprehend the thunder god's strike. In this small world, the massacre continued. One by one, the top geniuses of their respective continents were killed here and would forever stay in this land. Some of the weaker ones didn't dare to show their faces at all. They looked for a safe place to hide. As for the strong ones, they hunted everywhere. It was a scene of blood and slaughter. In a valley, Long Chen transformed into the primordial dragonesque elephant and roared at the sky. He took a step forward and killed 2 7th-level spirit god experts. Now, Long Chen's cultivation had also reached the 7th level of the spirit god realm. His combat strength was even more terrifying. Then, Long Chen gathered the 9 keys and stepped into a hall. On a large river, Ice Dragon waved his hand and sealed several young experts in ice. He also gathered the 9 keys and entered a hall. In a land full of holes, Xian Yinjuan's body was pure and holy. Milky white light suffused the air. 9 keys floated above her head. Not far from her was the 3 strongest geniuses of the Southern God Palace. Wangjin, Miss Ninjuan, you enter the hall first. I'll go to the other halls. Wangjin said, Thank you, young Master Wang. Xian Yinjuan nodded and stepped into a hall. A blazing light flashed in Wang Zhen's eyes, and then he walked towards the other halls. Scenes like this were happening all over this small world. Top geniuses like Ji Hongqin had gathered the 9 keys and entered the halls to obtain fortuitous opportunities. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. Half a month's time was almost up. After 7 days of comprehension, he had made great progress in the Thunder God strike. However, he still needed some time to cultivate it to the 2nd level. At this time, Dandan sent news that Xian Yinqing had come out. Lu Ming came out of the mountain and river diagram. As expected, he saw Xian Yinqing standing in front of the hall and looking around. Xian Yinqing smiled when she saw Lu Ming flying over. Little Qing, what did you get? Lu Ming asked. It's a pill. Xian Yinqing explained. She had obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert in the divine ruins. Within it, there were several martial skills related to the concept of the Devil Dao. Chapter 1242. I chose the Demon Essence pill, but I didn't expect that as soon as I got it, my bloodline would directly appear and take the initiative to swallow the Demon Essence pill, so I could only start to refine it. I didn't expect that this cultivation would take 7 days. Xian Yinqing explained. Lu Ming nodded. No wonder Xian Yinqing stayed in the palace for 7 days. Little Qing, your cultivation! Lu Ming carefully looked at Xian Yinqing and felt that Xian Yinqing's true essence fluctuation was incomparably powerful. After I refined the Demon Essence pill, my cultivation broke through from the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit God realm to the 7th level of the Spirit God realm in one go. Xian Yinqing said. 7th level of the Spirit God realm. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The seventh level of the spirit god realm was a peak existence among all the geniuses this time. Xian Yanqing could break through to the seventh level of the spirit god realm, and coupled with Xian Yanqing's own combat strength, there was no need to worry about protecting himself. Lu Ming was naturally overjoyed. There was less than a day before half a month. Lu Ming and Xie Nianqing wandered around. If they encountered others, Lu Ming didn't mind killing them and seizing the key. However, after flying for a while, they didn't encounter anyone. Many people with lower cultivation had hidden during this period of time, and it was difficult to find them. Time flew by quickly. Buzz. Suddenly, the space trembled. Lu Ming felt the space around him tighten, and he disappeared from this place. In the next moment, he appeared on the 36 Big Dipper peaks in the ancient city of gods. Xian Yanqing also appeared beside him. Countless people were watching in the surroundings. "They're out. The first round is over," someone exclaimed softly. In the air above the 36 Big Dipper peaks, people constantly flashed out. Soon, more than 500 people appeared in the air. But after that, no one else appeared. Only 500 people were left. Many people's hearts trembled. Needless to say, the remaining people would definitely stay inside forever. Nearly 1,000 people, but only 500 people came out. The death rate was nearly half. Such a death rate was too high. It was truly frightening. "Lanyo, you actually lost an arm? Who has the strength to do so?" A voice sounded. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man with a nostril hoop. One of his arms was missing, and his face was extremely gloomy. Many geniuses, including some rulers, also looked at the Thunder Bull. Lei Niu is one of the 3 strongest cultivators of the West God Palace. Who could have cut off one of his arms? He has such strength? Could it be the strongest experts of the other 3 divine palaces? Or are they the second strongest in the continent? How formidable! Thunderbull's combat strength is already terrifying and shocking. I once saw him easily kill 3 perfection stage domain enlightened spirit gods, and he was even capable of going against an exalt. Yet he actually lost an arm. Sounds of discussion could be heard all around. They were incomparably shocked. This made Lei Niu's face even gloomier. He looked around and finally fixed his eyes on Lu Ming. Cold, murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He then snorted coldly and walked toward the West Divine Palace. The others looked at each other and flew in 4 different directions. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing arrived at the South God Palace. The middle-aged man in black swept his gaze across them, and his face was a little gloomy. More than half of the geniuses of the South God Palace had come here. The loss was too great. One had to know that as long as these geniuses did not die, they would definitely become rulers in the future, and not just any ordinary rulers. So many people have died. Lu Ming was also secretly observing. Almost every continent had people who died in battle. On the Divine Wilderness continent, Lu Ming saw Long Qin, Xian Yanjuan, Yang Patian, Monk Wuliang, Moonless Bodhisattva, and Underworld Child. For example, the Cerberus and Kong Lin were no longer there. Obviously, they had died in battle. Including Lion Capital, the Divine Wilderness continent had lost 3 geniuses. Such a loss was considered small. Some continents were almost completely wiped out. For example, the 8th-ranked Zhanping continent had lost 70% to 80% of its geniuses. Even the 2nd-ranked genius had died. The Divine Crocodile continent was even more miserable. Only 2 or 3 geniuses were left, looking at each other. The Bayou continent had also suffered heavy losses. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, 2 figures flashed, and 2 figures in feathered robes appeared on both sides of Lu Ming. Cold, murderous intent covered Lu Ming. "My hair, what's going on?" Monk Wuliang chanted the name of Buddha. The others on the South God Palace side also looked at the 2 youths in feathered robes. Of the 2 youths in feathered robes, one was wearing a golden feather robe, and the other was wearing black wings. Golden Wing, Shini, what are you two doing? Ji Hongqin frowned slightly and said, he killed Silverwing, and Silverwing left a special aura on his body. Only the Winged clan can sense it. The youth in the golden feather robe said coldly, what, he killed Silverwing? He can kill Silverwing. Many geniuses on the South God Palace side were puzzled. Silverwing was one of the 3 great geniuses of the Bayou continent. He had stepped onto the 36th heaven astral peak, and his cultivation was profound. His battle strength was strong. How could someone from the divine wilderness continent kill Silverwing? Ji Hongqin frowned and did not continue speaking. On the other hand, Wang Zhen and Xian Yinjuan were gloating. That's right, I killed Silverwing. At this moment, Lu Ming said, since he had been discovered, there was nothing to hide. How dare you kill a genius of the Bayou continent? Speak. What despicable method did you use to sneak attack? I don't believe that a trash from the divine wilderness continent like you can kill Silverwing. Golden Wing scolded coldly. We are all from the South God Palace, but you have an internal conflict. You killed a genius of the Bayou continent and weakened the strength of the South God Palace. Speak, what are your intentions? Also, who is your helper? Is it someone else from the divine wilderness continent? The black-feathered Shini said as his cold gaze swept across the other people from the divine wilderness continent. Xian Yinjuan, Underworld Child, and Yang Potion's faces turned ugly. I have nothing to do with him. I have always been with young Master Wang Zhen. Xie Yinjuan explained. That's right. I can testify that Miss Nianqing has nothing to do with this matter. Wang Zhen opened his mouth and explained. I also have nothing to do with him. I have a grudge with him. Yang Patian and Underworld Child spoke one after another, wanting to distance themselves from Lu Ming. Heartless Monk and Moonless Bodhisattva did not speak. Xian Yanqing stood closely beside Lu Ming. Bang! At this moment, Long Chen stepped forward and stood beside Lu Ming. This made Xian Yinjuan, Yang Patian, and the others' expressions change. Long Chen was actually standing beside Lu Ming. Why would I need others to kill Silverwing? I can kill him with a flip of my hand, Lu Ming said with a calm expression. Also, you have to understand one thing. It was Silverwing who wanted to kill me first, so I killed him. You don't have to slander me for no reason. It's useless. Nonsense, don't try to quibble. Since you have admitted that you killed Silverwing, you have to pay with your life. Now kneel down and admit your crimes. Also, these accomplices are all guilty. Kneel down and cripple your own cultivation. When the Celestial Divine Sect's disciple selection is over, I will bring you back to the Bayou continent and pronounce your crimes. Chapter 1243. The commotion here naturally attracted the attention of the other parties. The geniuses of the other 3 divine palaces all looked over as if they were watching a show. Beasts are beasts. Their brains don't work well. Lu Ming curled his lips. You are courting death. Jin Yi shouted. Xun Yi's eyes were cold. The other geniuses of the Bayou continent were all filled with murderous intent and shrouded Lu Ming. Whoosh! Jin Yi's body burst out with golden light. He formed a claw with his fingers and clawed at Lu Ming, making a sharp, piercing sound. Boom! Boom! Xian Yinqing and Long Chen's aura burst out. You don't have to do anything. It's just a few beasts. Lu Ming said and punched out. Bang! Crack! Lu Ming's punch landed on the Golden Wing's claw, causing the sound of bones breaking to be heard. The Golden Wing screamed and retreated continuously. Many people couldn't help but widen their eyes and look at the scene in disbelief. Jin Yi was also an expert who had stepped onto the 36th Tiangang Peak. Now, Lu Ming's punch had broken his finger bone. It was unbelievable. The black-robed, middle-aged man from the Southern Divine Palace had been standing quietly in the void, watching indifferently without saying a word. Kill! Jin Yi's finger bone was broken by Lu Ming's punch. He was angry and turned into his original form, a golden eagle. He flapped his wings and attacked Lu Ming. At the same time, Xin Yi's eyes were cold. He also turned into his original form and attacked Lu Ming. The two geniuses who had stepped onto the Tiangang Peak actually joined forces to attack Lu Ming. It was despicable. Well, the bird meat contains the bloodline of a divine beast. It's just right for me to have a good meal. Lu Ming said coldly. The dragon power in his body burst out, and he punched out twice. Wherever the fist passed, the space was squeezed into a ball and blasted toward Jin Yi and Xin Yi. Two wails sounded, and the sky was filled with golden and black feathers. Jin Yi and Xin Yi were seriously injured in one move. Kill! Lu Ming consecutively sent out two palms. His palms were like heavenly blades, slashing at the necks of the golden wings and divine wings. A terrifying power erupted, blasting the two bird heads into pieces. Jin Yi and Xin Yi were instantly killed. Hiss! Many people gasped and looked at Lu Ming in shock. Those were two geniuses who could step onto Tiangang Peak, but they were killed by Lu Ming so easily. The black-clothed, middle-aged man's eyes lit up with surprise. He had some impression of Lu Ming. Back in the divine, desolate continent, Lu Ming had only possessed a rank 8 divine realm bloodline, but he had easily defeated Mu Feng, which had attracted his attention. Therefore, he had made an exception and allowed Lu Ming to come to the Divine Ruins continent with him. Now, the abilities that Lu Ming displayed were even more shocking. Even he was taken aback. As for Wang Zhen, Ji Hongqin, and the purple-haired youth, their eyes were filled with shock, astonishment, and seriousness. Lu Ming's strength had attracted their attention. Many people from the other 3 divine palaces were also shocked. Who is this person? His combat strength is not bad. I didn't expect Southern Divine Palace to have such a hidden character other than those 3 guys. Someone spoke, obviously treating Lu Ming as an opponent. Among them, Lei Niu and Bing Long snorted coldly, their faces ugly. You killed Jin Yi and Xin Yi? A genius from the Bayou continent asked in a trembling voice, extremely shocked. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the corpses of Xin Yi and Jin Yi. He said, "What? You want to fight too?" The youth from the Bayou continent was horrified. Lu Ming. Suddenly a cold voice rang out. Wang Zhen stepped out, and his gaze fell on Lu Ming. He said, "Lu Ming, your methods are too vicious. Jin Yi and Shen Yi only said a few words to you, and you killed them. Moreover, Jin Yi and Shen Yi are 2 generals of my Southern Divine Palace. You killed them so ruthlessly to weaken my Southern Divine Palace's strength. With your temperament, you are not qualified to participate in the Divine Sky Sect selection." Wang Zhen's eyes flickered with a ruthless light. Xian Yinjuan had told him about her conflict with Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. At this time, he wanted to seize the opportunity to perform in front of Xian Yinjuan and gain Xie Yinjuan's favor. Haha. Lu Ming looked at Wang Zhen and sneered, "Are you blind? They wanted to kill me just now. Can't I fight back and kill them? How about this? If I want to kill you, you can stand still and let me kill you." "You're just quibbling," Wang Zhen said. "Who do you think you are? I don't need to quibble with you. Get lost." Lu Ming was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and directly scolded him. This made Wang Zhen's face extremely gloomy. Who was he? The 3 strongest geniuses of Southern Divine Palace, and the Wang family's influence in the Southern Divine Palace was even stronger than the Mu family. Lu Ming dared to talk to him like this? "Kid, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you killed Golden Wings and Xin Yi. I'll let you know that there's always someone better than you," Wang Zhen said coldly as a cold, murderous intent rose from his body. "Enough." At this time, the voice of the middle-aged man in black came out and made Wang Zhen stop. Golden Wings and Shen Yi were at fault in this matter. They wanted to kill others, but they didn't have the ability and were killed instead. They can't blame anyone else. The middle-aged man in black said. But Wang Zhen wanted to say more. The middle-aged man in black reached out his hand, and Wang Zhen could only swallow his words. Kid, you're lucky today. Wang Zhen stared coldly at Lu Ming and turned to leave. He walked to Xian Yinjuan's side and said, Don't worry, I'll find a chance to kill that kid. Xian Yinjuan nodded casually. At this time there was a powerful fluctuation in the sky, and a few figures appeared in the air. It was the silver-haired elder and 2 middle-aged men from the celestial sect. As for the 3 young men, there was no trace of them. Okay, the first round is over. Next, we'll set up the venue for the second round. It will take half a month. Those who survived the first round will gather here in half a month. After the silver-haired elder finished his announcement, he turned and left. Half a month later, the second round of the competition would begin. Many people's eyes were filled with anticipation. After half a month, they might be able to join the celestial sect. Then, the crowd dispersed and flew in different directions. Let's go and barbecue. Lu Ming laughed. The sky prides of the Bayou continent trembled, and their faces turned ugly. Soon, the crowd returned to their residence. Half an hour later, in Lu Ming's courtyard, there was a rich aroma of meat that spread throughout the entire southern Divine Palace residence. That Lu Ming really barbecued golden wings, and Shen Yi, some young men from other continents, were dumbfounded. Brother Long, come and eat together. Lu Ming called out to Long Chen's room. The door opened and Long Chen strode in. I have rice hair. Almsgiver Lu, I wonder if I have the fortune to eat a piece? An scrupulous monk appeared and looked at the 2 golden roasted birds. His eyes lit up and his saliva almost flowed out. Of course. Chapter 1244. Ha ha ha. This little monk can't eat benefactor Lu's food for free. This little monk has some top-grade wine that matches this barbecue. Monk Wuliang stepped forward and waved his hand. 7 or 8 jars of wine appeared on the ground. This, Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Long Chun were all stunned. How could there be such a monk in the Buddhist sect? Amitabha. Ha! Then this little monk won't stand on ceremony. Monk Wuliang laughed, his eyes shining. He rolled up his sleeves, tore off a bird's wing, and began to chew on it. Lu Ming smiled and picked up a jar of wine. He opened it and took a big gulp. It was mellow and sweet in his mouth. It was warm and comfortable in his stomach. Even his true essence was flowing smoothly. This was truly a top-grade wine. This monk Wuliang really knew how to enjoy himself. Next, he seemed to be gulping down wine and eating meat. In 2 hours, 7 or 8 jars of wine had been finished. The 2 large birds with 9th level divine beast bloodline had been gnawed until only bones were left. What was even more shocking was that monk Wuliang didn't even let go of the bones and began to chew on them. This is good stuff. It would be a pity to miss it. Don't stand on ceremony. Monk Wuliang muttered as he stuffed it into his mouth. Lu Ming and the other 2 looked at each other. After another half an hour, Monk Wuliang reluctantly left. Shao Qing, there is a thunder region 1,000,000 miles away from the ancient city of God. I plan to take advantage of this half a month to go to the thunder region to cultivate the concept martial arts. Lu Ming told Xia Nianqing his plan. I want to choose a concept martial art to cultivate. During this time, I will cultivate in the mountain and river diagram. Xia Nianqing nodded. Then Lu Ming and Xia Nianqing entered the mountain and river diagram. Xia Nianqing sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. Chirp, chirp! A meatball flew over and rushed into Lu Ming's arms, rubbing against him with all its might. It was Bubbles. During this period of time, Lu Ming had placed the bubbles in the mountain-river diagram. Now that they saw Lu Ming, they were very sticky. Little guy, let me carry you. Lu Ming rubbed the bubbles, then exited the mountain and river diagram. He left the southern God Palace's mansion and headed west of the ancient city of gods. The lightning region was to the west of the ancient city of gods. In a room in the Western Divine Palace, Lanio's face was extremely gloomy. Looking at his empty arm, he was even more furious and filled with killing intent. The domain enlightened spirit god realm was still incapable of regrowing severed limbs, and only by breaking through to the martial monarch realm would one be able to regrow an arm. This wasn't a big deal. Lanio was worried that the Sky God Sek's election this time would affect the Sky God Sek's perception of him. At this moment, a black shadow flashed, and a skinny black-clothed old man appeared in the room. "Young Master Niao, what instructions do you have for me?" The black-clothed old man bowed and asked, "Send a message back and ask my master to send some experts over. I want to find a chance to kill that brat." Lanio said with killing intent. "Yes." The black-clothed old man bowed and accepted the order, and then his figure flashed and left. "I've lost a lot of my origin energy this time, so I need to find a place to recover. The lightning region to the west of the ancient city of gods is a place where lightning gathers. It just happens to be suitable for me." Lanio muttered to himself. A distance of 1,000,000 miles was covered in an instant for Lu Ming. Black clouds covered the area in front of him, and endless black clouds were rolling. Terrifying bolts of lightning descended from the clouds and covered the entire sky like silver snakes. Rumble. Thunder rumbled, and everything fell into a dormant state. This was a vast and boundless lightning region. This was the lightning region, and it was called the boundless lightning region because it was extremely vast. Swoosh! Lu Ming paused for a moment before he stepped out and entered the lightning region. Crack! As soon as Lu Ming stepped into the lightning region, 9 bolts of lightning as thick as an arm struck towards Lu Ming. Thunder God Strike! Lu Ming grasped the void and condensed bolts of lightning out of thin air, canceling out the bolts of lightning that struck towards him. What a strong power of lightning! What a strong lightning concept! Lu Ming extended his spiritual consciousness and felt the space around him. It was filled with extremely rich power of lightning. This place is still too weak. Let's go deeper. Lu Ming continued to step into the depths of the lightning region. Along the way, lightning constantly struck Lu Ming, but they were all easily blocked by Lu Ming's Thunder God Strike. At the same time, Lu Ming also used the power of lightning here to comprehend the Thunder God Strike. Buzz! At this moment, Lu Ming's body trembled slightly. He felt the lightning cauldron in his sea of consciousness vibrate slightly. Then his glabella lit up and the lightning cauldron appeared on its own. The lightning cauldron vibrated slightly and produced a strong suction force. Bolts of lightning were attracted to the lightning cauldron and flew towards it, disappearing into it. This works too! Lu Ming was stunned for a moment and then revealed a look of joy. Swoosh! Lu Ming used his movement technique and ran towards the depths of the lightning region at an extremely fast speed. The deeper he went into the lightning region, the stronger the power of lightning. The lightning concept would also be stronger and easier to comprehend. On the way, Lu Ming also noticed a few auras. Obviously, there were other people cultivating here. Not long after, Lu Ming came to a valley. The power of lightning here was incomparably strong. Endless lightning bolts constantly fell down with an astonishing aura. This is it. Lu Ming walked into the valley and sat down cross-legged. He quietly comprehended the power of lightning between heaven and earth and cultivated the Thunder God Strike. The lightning cauldron floated above his head, absorbing a few huge bolts of lightning from time to time. There were traces of lightning swimming around the cauldron, shining brightly. Chirp, chirp! Bubbles lazily laid on Lu Ming's body and squinted its eyes to look around. Lightning is destruction, a punishment from the heavens. Lu Ming carefully comprehended and muttered. He was comprehending the essence of the power of lightning. The power of lightning was a punishment from the heavens. Everything was afraid of it, and its power was extremely terrifying. However, it was extremely difficult to comprehend its essence. In the past, Lu Ming only used it casually and did not dig deeper. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been cultivating in the valley for 3 days. In these 3 days, he had benefited a lot. He was very close to the second level of the Thunder God strike and could break through at any time. However, at this time, Lu Ming felt that the power of the lightning in the valley was not enough. He needed a stronger power of lightning to cultivate. Lu Ming got up and walked out of the valley, continuing to go deeper. 2 hours later, Lu Ming came to a majestic mountain. In the sky above the mountain, endless lightning scattered, and the power of lightning was incomparably dense. However, Lu Ming sensed that there were many caves in the mountain. There were auras entrenched in them. Obviously, there were experts cultivating here. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and turned to leave. He did not want to stay here any longer. Whoosh! Suddenly, a bolt of lightning shot out from the mountain. A green-robed old man appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his path. Chapter 1245. What a miraculous lightning treasure. Kid, give this lightning cauldron to me, and you can fuck off. The green-clothed old man spoke indifferently. His body emitted a powerful aura, the aura of a perfected spirit god. Lu Ming thought in his heart. It turned out that the old man was eyeing his lightning cauldron. A trace of a cold smile appeared on the corners of Lu Ming's mouth. A mere perfected spirit god. Presently, Lu Ming didn't take the old man seriously at all. If the old man wanted to court death, then he didn't mind sending him on his way. Kid, I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Hand over the lightning cauldron and fuck off. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving once I make a move. The green-clothed old man berated. You can give it a try. Lu Ming replied indifferently. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Could it be that a mere 7th-level spirit god can go against me? Since you're so stubborn, then I'll send you on your way. The green-clothed old man's expression turned cold, and his body emitted icy, cold, killing intent. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Right at this moment, a few more powerful auras rose up from the mountain. A total of 3 people flew out from the mountain and appeared around Lu Ming, and they surrounded Lu Ming tightly. All of them were at the perfected spirit god realm. Old freak Qing, how can such a treasure be taken by you alone? A one-eyed man spoke loudly. Gentlemen, I was the one who discovered it first. The green-clothed old man's expression became even more gloomy when he saw the 3 of them appear. You noticed it first? How laughable! I was just cultivating just now, but my spirit sense noticed it long ago. The one-eyed man mocked. The other 2 spoke as well and said that they'd noticed it long ago. The 4 of them completely ignored Lu Ming and actually started fighting for it. In their eyes, Lu Ming was only a lamb waiting to be slaughtered and wasn't a threat at all. Are all of you done talking nonsense? Right when the 4 of them were fighting and confronting each other, Lu Ming's voice sounded out. The 4 of them instantly fell silent and looked at Lu Ming in a daze. If you're done talking nonsense, then I'll send you on your way. Traces of killing intent bloomed on Lu Ming's body. What did this kid say? Ha ha ha. The one-eyed man burst into laughter. Under such circumstances, and under the encirclement of 4 perfection stage spiritual gods, Lu Ming actually said that he would send them on their way. Could it be that this kid has gone mad? Brat, I'll send you on your way first. The one-eyed man's only eye was filled with killing intent. At the same time, a battle axe appeared in his hand. His entire body was covered with the power of lightning. He swung the battle axe at Lu Ming's throat. Wang! With a thought from Lu Ming, the lightning cauldron above his head shook. Then a thick lightning bolt shot out towards the one-eyed man. With a crackling sound, the one-eyed large fellow was submerged in thunder and lightning. The power of thunder and lightning emitted from his body was like a mouse meeting a cat, instantly disappearing into nothingness. The one-eyed man held in grief. His protective genuine was also shattered by the lightning. His entire body was split open, and smoke rose from his body. It was a horrible sight to behold. What power! What a powerful treasure! The azure-clothed old man exclaimed. At the same time, the burning glow in his eyes grew even more dazzling. This treasure is extremely powerful. Why don't we join forces and seize it first, and then we'll discuss how to split it, said the azure-clothed old man. All right. The other two didn't hesitate in the slightest before agreeing. The lightning cauldron had instantly split open the one-eyed large fellow's flesh, and its might caused them to be shocked. At the same time, their hearts burned even more fervently. In an instant, the three of them attacked. 3 terrifying attacks descended towards Lu Ming. When the three of them joined forces, not to mention a 7th-level spiritual god, even if perfection stage spiritual god would be heavily injured or even killed. Roar, roar, roar. Meanwhile, waves of dragon roars resounded from within Lu Ming's body as 9 strands of dragon energy instantly erupted. Bang! Lu Ming slapped out with his palm and dispersed the attack of a gray-robed old man. And then his palm didn't stop and slashed onto the gray-robed old man's body. The gray-robed old man let out a shrill cry as his body sunk in, and then he was blasted flying like a cannonball while spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. A perfection stage spiritual god was heavily injured with a single move. Whoosh! A huge bolt of lightning flew out from the lightning cauldron and drowned the gray-robed old man, causing him to let out a wail. When the lightning disappeared, the gray-robed old man's body was already charred black and without a trace of vitality. A perfection stage spiritual god had been killed by Lu Ming in 2 moves. At the same time, the azure-clothed old man and his companions' attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. But Lu Ming's muscles flexed as he used the hell-suppressing heaven skill and easily neutralized their attacks. How could this be? Their eyes widened to the size of copper bells, and they were filled with disbelief, followed by shock and horror. A perfection stage spiritual god had been killed by Lu Ming in 2 or 3 moves. This was too terrifying. Whoosh! Lu Ming didn't stop at all. After killing the gray-robed old man, he attacked the other person. That person frantically resisted, but everything seemed so fragile under Lu Ming's attacks. His heart was pierced through by Lu Ming's palm, and his spiritual god didn't manage to escape either, and was smashed into nothingness. Oh, what a monster! The azure-clothed old man screamed in fear and fled frantically. Kill! Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and appeared above the azure-clothed old man's head. Under the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, the azure-clothed old man's body exploded. 3 perfection stage spiritual gods had been killed by Lu Ming in a few breaths. There were still a few people in that mountain, but their cultivation hadn't reached the perfection stage spiritual god realm. When they saw the 4 perfection stage spiritual gods attacking earlier, they knew that they had no fate with the treasure, so they didn't attack and sighed inwardly. At this time, their faces were pale with fear and their hearts were cold. They tried their best to restrain their aura and hide in the mountain. Now they were glad that they didn't go out, or they would be the ones to die. He's a monster, a god of death. They thought in fear. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared, opened its mouth, and swallowed all of their blood essence. Then it took a step and chased after one of them. That person was the one-eyed burly man. Initially, he had been struck by the thunder cauldron, but he was only severely injured and did not die. Previously, when he saw Lu Ming unleashing his invincible prowess and killing a perfected spirit god powerhouse as if he was chopping melons and vegetables, he was already scared out of his wits and was trying his best to escape. At this moment, when he saw Lu Ming, he was so scared that he screamed, "Spare me, young hero." A peerless treasure? Lights and shadows flashed, and Lu Ming appeared in front of the one-eyed burly man, deep in thought. Seeing that Lu Ming did not kill him and seemed to be tempted, the one-eyed burly man was overjoyed. He shouted, "There is a treasure nurtured by the power of thunder and lightning." It is very useful for cultivation techniques that cultivate the power of thunder and lightning, or martial techniques that use the power of thunder and lightning. As long as you promise not to kill me, I will bring you there. The one-eyed man looked at Lu Ming with hope, but his heart was uneasy. He was afraid that Lu Ming would kill him. If I'm satisfied with that treasure, I won't kill you. Lu Ming said, Okay, I'll take you there. You'll be satisfied. Chapter 1246. Lead the way. Lu Ming said. The one-eyed burly man nodded and led the way. Lu Ming followed the one-eyed burly man into the depths of the lightning field. Along the way, they crossed many towering mountains and came to a small hill. Sizzle. The area within 100 miles of the small hill was filled with boundless lightning. What a terrifying power of thunder and lightning! Lu Ming's eyes widened and he was a little shocked. The power of thunder and lightning around this small hill was at least 10 times or even 100 times stronger than other places. It was too shocking that a small hill had such an amazing power of thunder and lightning. Lu Ming looked carefully and finally found the reason. On the small hill, there was a small tree about half a meter tall. It only had 3 leaves, but the 3 leaves were exactly the same as the legendary phoenix. They were like 3 small phoenixes hanging on the branches, vivid and lifelike. Above the small tree, a phoenix condensed from lightning was dancing gracefully. It flew around the small tree continuously and let out a crisp chirp. The incomparably rich power of thunder and lightning was all because of this small tree. What a wonderful spiritual tree! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If he could use this small tree to cultivate, the cultivation speed of the thunder god's strike would definitely skyrocket. It was indeed a supreme treasure. Buzz! Buzz! Above Lu Ming's head, the lightning cauldron kept vibrating, as if it was very excited. This is the spiritual tree. Can I go now? The one-eyed burly man looked at Lu Ming carefully. Go. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. Whether he killed the one-eyed burly man or not, it didn't matter. The one-eyed burly man was overjoyed and quickly retreated. At the same time, his eyes looked around, as if he was waiting for something. Boom! Suddenly, not far from the small hill, a terrifying aura erupted. A figure rushed up and came to Lu Ming's side in an instant. A supreme! Lu Ming's face changed slightly. There was actually a supreme hiding near this small hill. It's the Dark Lightning Sovereign. Haha, this brat is dead for sure, daring to injure me. The one-eyed man's eyes lit up and he laughed in his heart. A ferocious look flashed in his eyes. He had long known that there was a supreme being here, so he deliberately brought Lu Ming here. He was sure that if that supreme being saw Lu Ming's lightning cauldron, he would definitely make a move. As expected, a supreme martial artist appeared. This was a black-robed old man with a terrifying aura. His eyes were burning as he stared at the lightning cauldron above Lu Ming's head. Haha, with this lightning cauldron, I will definitely be able to enter and obtain the Thunder Phoenix Tree. The black-robed old man laughed and said, Kid, this seat is Dark Lightning Sovereign. Hand over your lightning cauldron. He wants the lightning cauldron again. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. However, this was the world of martial arts, where the strong were respected. When adventuring outside, it was normal for the strong to snatch the treasures of the weak. Lu Ming wasn't too surprised. However, did the other party really think that he was stronger than him? Previously, that person and a few others said the same thing to you, but now they are all dead. Lu Ming pointed at the one-eyed man in the distance. Oh, how many perfected stage spirit gods can you kill? Looks like you're a genius. However, do you think a perfected stage spirit god can compare to a supreme martial artist? Dark Lightning Sovereign's eyes only moved slightly before he sneered again. So what if Lu Ming could kill a few perfected stage spirit gods? How could a perfected stage spirit god compare to a supreme martial artist? Is that so? Lu Ming licked his lips. his eyes revealing fighting spirit. So what if he was a supreme martial artist? Lu Ming wanted to test his strength and see if he could fight a supreme martial artist. Kid, if you want to fight with me, then I will fulfill your wish. Sensing Lu Ming's fighting spirit, Dark Lightning Sovereign's face sank, and the aura on his body became even more terrifying. Boom! A terrifying force suddenly pressed down on Lu Ming, causing Lu Ming's body to tremble slightly. Erupt! Lu Ming roared, and all 9 dragon forces erupted. At the same time, his true yuan circulated crazily, and the 5 intents of heaven and earth completely erupted, forming a battle armor that covered his entire body. Dark Lightning Hand. Dark Lightning Sovereign's body was filled with endless black lightning. He stretched out his hand, forming a huge black lightning palm that grabbed at Lu Ming. Sizzle, black lightning flashed, full of destructive power, and in the destructive power, there was a corrosive intent. This kind of black lightning was very terrifying. Above Lu Ming's head, the 3rd bloodline appeared, and a force poured into Lu Ming's body, causing Lu Ming's hair to turn blood red. Kill! An extremely powerful killing intent rushed out, and Lu Ming stepped out, circulating the hell-suppressing heaven skill, and punched out, bombarding the black lightning palm. Boom! There was a shocking explosion, and a black hole appeared at the place where the fist and the black palm collided. Then it suddenly exploded, and terrifying energy scattered in all directions. Bang! 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 Lu Ming's body trembled, and he took 3 steps back. However, the black lightning palm also collapsed under Lu Ming's punch. The strength of a sovereign is really shocking. Lu Ming felt his fist go slightly numb, and there were even thin black lightning flickering, desperately trying to drill into Lu Ming's fist. However, they were blocked by Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked, but he didn't know that Dark Lightning Sovereign was even more shocked. He actually blocked it. Dark Lightning Sovereign's heart also jumped, and he found it unbelievable. He had never heard of a mere 7th-level spirit god being able to block his attack. Let's see how many moves you can take from this old man. Dark Lightning Sovereign's killing intent bloomed, and he blasted out another palm. This palm strike was even more powerful than the previous one, and it was even more shocking. Roar! With a dragon roar, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared, and Lu Ming transformed into 9 dragons. Dragon claws stepped out, and the black palm was destroyed. Damn it, kill! Dark Lightning Domain. Dark Lightning Sovereign's killing intent became even stronger. He turned his palm into a fist and punched out. In this punch, another black domain bloomed, and it blasted towards Lu Ming. This is the embryonic form of a domain. Lu Ming's heart jumped, and he felt the aura of danger. Boom! 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 Lu Ming circulated the hell-suppressing heaven skill to the extreme, and at the same time, the devouring power erupted and the 5-color concept circulated, erupting with the strongest power. Boom! The 2 collided again. The 9 dragons' bodies shook violently, and their dragon claws stepped on the air, and they retreated. However, Dark Lightning Sovereign also retreated, and the distance he retreated was not shorter than Lu Ming. How is this possible? In the distance, the one-eyed burly man was still watching the battle. At this time, his only eye was almost popping out. His mouth was wide open, and his face was dumbfounded. Lu Ming, such a young man who was not even 30 years old, with the cultivation of a 7th-level spirit god, could actually fight a sovereign and even defeat him. This was simply unbelievable. How could there be such a powerful young genius in the world? Could it be the strongest genius of the 4 great divine palaces? Again, Dark Lightning Sovereign roared, and he was really angry. He had been famous for thousands of years, and he was actually defeated by a little fellow at the 7th-level spirit god. If this spread out, he wouldn't be able to survive. Chapter 1247. The 9 dragons roared as a terrifying devouring power erupted, clashing fiercely with Dark Thunder Supreme's embryonic domain. The devouring power of the 9 dragons enveloped an area, and it also had a trace of the power of a domain. The two engaged in a fierce battle from the ground to the sky, and then from the sky to the ground. Terrifying energy swept in all directions, spreading freely, and could cut open space and destroy the earth. In the distance, the one-eyed man's face was pale, and his body was trembling. Dark Thunder Supreme can definitely kill this kid. Dark Thunder Supreme still has his bloodline. Once he uses it, this kid will die for sure. The one-eyed man prayed in his heart, but he didn't leave. He wanted to see Dark Thunder Supreme kill Lu Ming before he could feel at ease. Lu Ming and Dark Thunder Supreme fought over 100 moves, but there was still no clear winner. Your bloodline power is almost exhausted, but I haven't used my bloodline yet. Let's see how you die. Dark Thunder Supreme's cold voice sounded. Is that so? Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded. At this moment, the 9 dragons' bloodline's light dimmed, and the bloodline power of the 9 dragons' bloodline was about to be exhausted. But before Paragon Dark Thunder could celebrate, a stone steel shot out from the 9 dragons' bloodline. The stone steel rapidly expanded, and a single character on it began to shine with boundless light. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed everything as it smashed down on Paragon Dark Thunder. This is impossible. Dark Thunder Supreme roared in disbelief. Lu Ming actually had 2 types of divine bloodlines, and their levels were so high. Although the suppressing steel bloodline was only at the 8th level of the divine grade, the aura it emitted was terrifying to the extreme, shocking Dark Thunder Supreme. Boom! The suppressing steel bloodline and Dark Thunder Supreme clashed, and the terrifying suppressive power made Dark Thunder Supreme stagger back. Dark Thunder Supreme was actually at a disadvantage. This made the one-eyed man, who was watching the battle from afar, almost bite his own tongue, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. A martial artist at the 7th level of the spirit god realm could actually suppress a supreme with his own strength. This was simply like a fantasy story, and he had never heard of it before. He simply thought that he was dreaming. Boom! The hell-suppressing steel's bloodline trembled, and its light grew even brighter. The words on the steel seemed to contain some sort of magical power, a mysterious power that Lu Ming had stimulated. It emitted an aura that could suppress 10,000 worlds, causing Sovereign Dark Lightning's heart to tremble. At this moment, he unleashed his bloodline without any hesitation. His bloodline was a hammer with black lightning and 6 golden chakras. It was a level 6 divine bloodline. Dark Lightning Sovereign turned into a beam of light and rushed into the hammer. The hammer rapidly expanded until it was as large as the suppressing Hell Steel bloodline. Black lightning revolved around it as it blasted towards the suppressing Hell Steel bloodline. Dong! A muffled sound rang out. It was as if the stars had moved and the heavens and the earth were shaking. The prison suppressing steel trembled and was sent flying. Dark Thunder Sovereign's battle prowess had indeed increased by a large margin after using bloodline fusion. Die! The huge thunder hammer, like the hammer of the ancient thunder god, smashed towards Lu Ming with thousands of thunderbolts. Go! With a thought from Lu Ming, a thunder cauldron floating in the air trembled slightly. Thousands of thunderbolts erupted, turning into a mountain and smashing towards the huge hammer. Dong! Another muffled sound rang out. This time it was a tie. The thunder cauldron and the huge hammer both retreated. But Dark Thunder Sovereign's angry roar sounded from the thunder hammer. What the hell is this? In the collision, just now, the thunder cauldron had actually absorbed some of the black lightning on the huge hammer. This lightning was the essence of Dark Thunder Sovereign's bloodline. If it was absorbed, it would have a great impact on his future cultivation. In fact, his chances of breaking through to the Emperor realm in the future would be even smaller. Boom! Boom! The suppressing Hell Steel bloodline and the thunder cauldron blasted towards Dark Thunder Sovereign together. Another 2 explosions rang out. This time, The huge hammer that Dark Thunder Sovereign had transformed into was sent flying. Some of the lightning on it was absorbed by the Thunder Cauldron. Buzz! After absorbing Dark Thunder Sovereign's lightning, the Thunder Cauldron seemed to be very excited. It shook slightly, and Lu Ming could feel the excitement of the Thunder Cauldron. Then let's continue. Lu Ming controlled the Thunder Cauldron and continued to bombard the huge hammer. This time, a large amount of black lightning was directly absorbed by the Thunder Cauldron. Dark Thunder Sovereign let out an angry roar. In the end, he couldn't maintain his bloodline form and directly dissipated. Kid, remember this. Dark Thunder Sovereign transformed into a lightning and actually ran away. He turned into a bolt of lightning and pierced through the void, disappearing in the blink of an eye. A supreme being had been beaten away by Lu Ming, by a young man in the 7th level of the spirit god realm. If this news were to spread, no one would believe it. Supreme beings were synonymous with invincibility when there weren't any emperors. They were called supreme beings. They had comprehended the embryonic form of a domain and could be called half-step emperors. They were much stronger than ordinary, perfect spirit gods. But now he had been beaten away by a young man in the 7th level of the spirit god realm. He could only run for his life. No one would believe it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. Even if they saw it with their own eyes, it still felt like a dream. At this moment, the one-eyed burly man felt like he was dreaming. He widened his eyes and only reacted after a while. He immediately turned around and ran in horror. He's running pretty fast. Lu Ming looked in the direction Dark Thunder Sovereign had fled and thought it was a pity. He didn't chase after him. A supreme being's speed was too fast. Moreover, he could tear through space. Even if he chased after him, he wouldn't be able to catch up. Chirp, chirp on his shoulder. The round bubble chirped and waved its little claws. The bubble on its nose was one big and one small as it breathed. You mean if you helped, he wouldn't have been able to escape? Lu Ming guessed what the bubble meant. Chirp, chirp, the bubble nodded repeatedly and waved its claws. All right, then I'll let you help next time. Lu Ming touched the bubble's round body. Then he looked in the direction the one-eyed burly man left and sneered. How dare you scheme against me? You're courting death. With a step, Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and chased after the one-eyed burly man. Not long after, a scream rang out. The one-eyed burly man was killed by Lu Ming. After killing the one-eyed burly man, Lu Ming returned to the vicinity of the small hill. He looked at the Thunder Phoenix tree inside and didn't enter immediately. The lightning around the Thunder Phoenix tree was too strong and terrifying. It was full of destructive power. Moreover, Dark Thunder Sovereign was guarding nearby, but didn't enter to take away the Thunder Phoenix tree. This meant that the Thunder Phoenix tree must be very terrifying. Let's give it a try first. After pondering for a while, Lu Ming decided to give it a try. Since he had come here and encountered the Thunder Phoenix tree, there was no reason to retreat. If he didn't give it a try, he wouldn't be satisfied. Lu Ming controlled the Thunder Cauldron to float above his head and stepped into the area within 100 miles of the small hill. Rumble. As soon as he stepped into that area, the heavens and earth roared. Endless thunder and lightning crazily struck at Lu Ming. That kind of power was countless times more terrifying than Lu Ming's heavenly thunder tribulation. Buzz. Chapter 1248. This lightning cauldron is really amazing. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He had obtained this lightning cauldron from the 100 God Slope. The 100 God Slope was formed after many powerful corpses fell from the sky. The lightning cauldron might be a treasure of a supreme existence. Moreover, the 100 God Slope had been explored for so many years and was still preserved. It even went through its own tribulation back then. It was definitely extraordinary. Lu Ming felt that it was unfathomable. In the past, he couldn't control it at all. He could only barely control it after his lightning intent broke through to the peak of level 4. However, Lu Ming felt that he couldn't unleash much of the lightning cauldron's power. This lightning cauldron seemed to contain boundless power. This involuntarily reminded Lu Ming of a round bead that he had encountered at the 100-God slope in the past. It had the power of the wind. It had been at the 100-God slope for so many years and had not been taken away by anyone. It must be extraordinary. Lu Ming thought to himself that if he had the chance, he would definitely go to the 100-God slope to explore it. With the help of the lightning cauldron, Lu Ming was relieved and took big strides forward. Rumble. The closer he got to the lightning phoenix tree, the more terrifying and powerful the lightning force became. When he was 10 miles away from the lightning phoenix tree, the lightning force had reached a terrifying level. The lightning force here is so powerful that even a supreme being would be in danger. They would be severely injured or even killed. Lu Ming was shocked. It was no wonder that Dark Thunder Supremacy was guarding nearby, but didn't come in to collect the lightning phoenix tree. It was because Dark Thunder Supremacy couldn't get close to the lightning phoenix tree at all. If he came in, he might die here. However, Lu Ming had the lightning cauldron, and it wasn't a problem at all. The lightning cauldron absorbed all the lightning force in the world. Lu Ming took big strides forward and got closer to the lightning phoenix tree. 10 miles, 9 miles, 8 miles. Soon, Lu Ming was only 1 mile away from the lightning phoenix tree. At this moment, a phoenix cry was heard. A phoenix that was completely condensed from lightning spread its wings and flew towards Lu Ming. It had a ferocious look in its eyes. It was lifelike, like a real phoenix. With a cry, the lightning phoenix pounced towards the lightning cauldron. Buzz! The lightning cauldron shuddered as a vast lightning suppression spread out from it. This pressure enveloped the thunder and lightning phoenix. The thunder and lightning phoenix let out a wail. It actually let out an incomparably terrified cry and quickly retreated. Suppress! Lu Ming whispered. The lightning cauldron flew forward, suppressing the thunder and lightning phoenix. The phoenix let out a mournful cry and was incomparably terrified. It was completely powerless to resist and was suppressed by the lightning cauldron. In the end, it turned into numerous bolts of lightning and was absorbed by the lightning cauldron. Following that, the lightning cauldron floated above the thunder phoenix tree. The lightning cauldron continued to emit lightning Tao pressure. It was as if a superior was commanding a subordinate. During this process, a strange scene occurred. The thunder phoenix tree shone and the boundless lightning in the surroundings actually weakened. Slowly, this area returned to normal. There was no more powerful lightning energy lingering in the air. Lu Ming revealed a joyful expression. He strode forward and grabbed the thunder phoenix tree. Under the suppression of the lightning cauldron, the lightning energy of the thunder phoenix tree was completely restrained. It did not harm Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming pulled up the thunder phoenix tree and carefully sensed it. He could still feel the incomparably dense lightning energy of the thunder phoenix tree. If Lu Ming used the thunder phoenix tree to cultivate the thunder god strike, the effect would definitely be outstanding. Let's find a place to cultivate. Lu Ming smiled and dug out the thunder phoenix tree. He then stepped into the air and left this place. A few hours later, Lu Ming found a mountain peak with dense lightning energy. He opened up a cave in the mountain peak. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the cave. With a thought, the thunder phoenix tree appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Buzz, 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 the thunder phoenix tree emitted wisps of lightning that enveloped Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body was bathed in the dense lightning energy. He closed his eyes and combined the dense lightning energy to cultivate the thunder god strike. With the help of the thunder phoenix tree, Lu Ming's comprehension of the thunder god strike improved by leaps and bounds. In just 2 days, the thunder god strike broke through and reached the second level. 9 days later, the thunder god strike broke through again and reached the third level. There were still a few days before the start of the second round. Lu Ming planned to cultivate until the last day before returning to the ancient city of God. Not far away from Lu Ming's cultivation place, 5 to 6 figures appeared. Lu Ming even knew one of them. It was Lei Niu, who had one of his arms cut off by Lu Ming. The others were all Lei Niu's subordinates. Young Master Niu, the lightning energy here is still all right. You can cultivate here. An old man said, "This won't do. The power of thunder and lightning here still hasn't reached my expectations. I have to find a place where the power of thunder and lightning is extremely dense. Over the past few days, I've almost recovered my Yuan Qi, but I haven't fully recovered. I have to find a place where the power of thunder and lightning is extremely dense to fully recover." Lei Niu said. At the mention of this, he thought of Lu Ming and his eyes flashed with anger. He couldn't help but want to tear Lu Ming into pieces. If it weren't for Lu Ming, he wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. Others were seizing the time to break through, but he was seizing the time to recover. In this way, he had unknowingly pulled away from others. It's all because of that guy, Lu Ming. I don't know where that guy has been hiding all this time. I must find a chance to take revenge. Lei Niu gritted his teeth. Suddenly, his nose twitched a few times and 2 horns appeared on his forehead, flashing with lightning energy. There's a powerful lightning energy ahead. Lei Niu's eyes lit up. He was a beast and was born with the ability to control lightning. He was very sensitive to lightning energy, far surpassing ordinary people. Let's go, it's ahead. Lei Niu took the lead and flew in a direction. The direction they flew was the mountain where Lu Ming was cultivating in seclusion. Not long after, Lei Niu arrived at the mountain where Lu Ming was cultivating in seclusion. Young Master Niu, there seems to be someone cultivating in seclusion in this mountain. But judging from his aura, his cultivation isn't very strong. An old man beside him said, "Treasure, a lightning treasure." At this moment, the 2 horns on Lei Niu's forehead were flashing with lightning. His eyes were shining. He sensed that there was an extremely precious lightning treasure in this mountain. It was a lightning treasure that made him very tempted. Blast this mountain open. I want the treasure inside. Lei Niu's eyes flashed with a blazing light. Yes. 2 burly men bowed and accepted the order. Then a powerful aura erupted from their bodies. It was actually the aura of a perfected spirit god. 2 saber lights as big as mountains broke through the sky and slashed towards the mountain. The mountain was split open like tofu. Lu Ming was in the midst of comprehending the thunder god's strike. All of a sudden, his heart stirred and he sensed danger approaching. He opened his eyes abruptly and ended his cultivation. "You're courting death!" Lu Ming roared. His body was wrapped in endless lightning as he rushed out of the rubble. The rubble, regardless of size, was struck by the lightning on Lu Ming's body and turned into dust. Kill! Chapter 1249. Bang! Bang! Under the attack of the lightning phoenix, the 2 men at the perfection stage of the spirit god stage could only let out a miserable cry before their bodies were torn into pieces. Terrifying, terrifying power. This was the terrifying power of intent realm martial skills. It could bring out the deepest level of intent realm and unleash shocking power. Moreover, Lu Ming had already cultivated the 3rd level of Thunder God Strike, which was more profound and powerful than the intent realm martial skills that Lei Niu and Bing Long had cultivated. Lei Niu and the others were stunned when they saw that Su Mo had killed 2 great perfection spiritual gods in one move. "Lu Ming, it's you." After being stunned for a moment, the Thunder Bull saw Lu Ming's appearance clearly and roared furiously. "It's you? Why, don't you want your other arm?" Lu Ming said coldly when he saw Lei Niu. No one would be in a good mood if they were interrupted during their cultivation. Lu Ming was in a bad mood now. "Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I've been looking for you for a few days. I didn't expect you to be hiding here. Today is the day you die." Lei Niu laughed. When he saw the lightning phoenix tree in Lu Ming's hand, his eyes were burning with passion. "Lightning phoenix tree. You actually got the lightning phoenix tree. Ha, the heavens are on my side. Kill him." Lei Niu roared. Boom! There were 4 people beside him who were emitting shocking auras. 3 of them were at the perfection stage of the spirit god realm. The other old man with a horn between his eyebrows had the most terrifying aura. He was a Supreme Being expert. It turned out that there were Supreme Being experts following him. No wonder Lanyo was still calm when he saw Lu Ming killing 2 great perfection spiritual gods so easily. He looked as if he was sure that he could defeat Lu Ming. Lanyo was full of confidence, with a Supreme Being around. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly shouted. His figure swayed, and he charged toward the Thunder Bull at lightning speed. Since they were already enemies, Lu Ming decided to strike first. Roar! Roar! In the process of running, Lu Ming's 9 dragon energies all erupted. At the same time, the 3rd bloodline appeared. Lu Ming borrowed a trace of the 3rd bloodline's power. As Lu Ming's cultivation improved, his ability to borrow the power of the 3rd bloodline had also improved. His resistance to the murderous intent had also improved. Sizzle! Lu Ming punched out, and a phoenix condensed from lightning pounced towards the Thunderbolt. The boundless killing intent and terrifying power caused the Thunderbolt's eyes to widen in shock. 9 Thunder Sword! He exerted all his strength and slashed out with his sword. Bang! The 9 Thunder Sword was instantly destroyed. The Thunder Bull let out a muffled groan and retreated rapidly with a pale face. Kill! Lu Ming roared and continued to attack the Thunder Bull. Junior, how dare you? You're courting death! For angry roars could be heard. The other 4 people charged toward Lu Ming, especially the old man with a horn on his forehead. His aura was shocking and his strength was terrifying. His speed was even faster. In a flash, he appeared in front of Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming and the old man exchanged blows, and Lu Ming was pushed back 100 meters. This person's strength was even stronger than Dark Lightning Supreme's. Kill! Kill him! The other 3 great perfection spiritual gods shouted when they saw Lu Ming being pushed back. They wanted to seize the opportunity to kill Lu Ming. You're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he transformed into 9 dragons. The devouring power enveloped the 3 of them, and the 9 dragon claws stepped out. No! The terrifying power made the 3 of them scream in horror. But in the next moment, the 3 of them were pierced by the dragon claws, and their hearts were crushed. Devour! The 9 dragons opened their mouths and devoured the blood essence and energy of the 3 great perfection spiritual gods. The 3 of them turned into 3 dried corpses. Kill! Thunder Rhino Supreme, kill him for me! The Thunder Bull roared hysterically. Whoosh! The old man with the horn, Thunder Rhino Supreme, had a saber flickering with lightning in his hand. He split the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! The 9 dragon claws stepped out continuously. Some of the claws were using the health-suppressing art, while the other claws were filled with lightning. They were actually using the Thunder God Strike. The 2 terrifying ultimate skills were executed at the same time, and their power was overwhelming. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Thunder Rhino Supreme had exchanged dozens of blows. Boom! After the last blow, Lu Ming and Thunder Rhino Supreme were pushed back at the same time. Thunder Rhino Supreme's face was gloomy. He was a great perfection, but he couldn't take down Lu Ming. He felt humiliated. The Thunder Bull was also shocked. Lu Ming's combat strength was stronger than when he fought with him. He could actually fight against a great perfection spiritual god. Whoosh! At this moment, a bolt of lightning flashed in the distance. A figure appeared behind Lu Ming. Dark Thunder Supreme. It was actually Dark Thunder Supreme. This made the Thunder Bull and Thunder Rhino Supreme's faces change slightly. Why did a great perfection, spiritual god, suddenly appear at this time? The 2 of you, this kid has a grudge with me. Why don't we work together to kill him? Dark Thunder Supreme said. This made the Thunder Bull and Thunder Rhino Supreme's eyes light up. This great perfection spiritual god who suddenly appeared was Lu Ming's enemy. The Thunderbull was overjoyed. Ha ha ha! Good, Senior. Let's work together to kill him. The Thunderbull laughed and then ordered the Thunder Rhino Supreme to work together with Dark Thunder Supreme. The two of you, this kid has two bloodlines, both of which are very terrifying. We better work together and use all our strength to kill him as soon as possible. Dark Thunder Supreme said, Good, then let's go all out. Kid die. Thunder Rhino Supremacy let out a loud roar, and his body rapidly enlarged, turning into a mountain-like rhinoceros with lightning all over his body. As for Dark Thunder Supreme, he used bloodline fusion and turned into a giant hammer. You escaped, but you still want to die? Then I'll fulfill your wish. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. With a thought, the lightning cauldron appeared and bombarded the giant hammer. At the same time, he also attacked the giant hammer that Dark Thunder Supreme had turned into. Moo! However, the Thunder Rhino Supreme roared and stepped on the void, attacking Lu Ming. The Thunder Rhino Supreme had 70% of a divine beast's bloodline. In terms of strength, he was stronger than the Dark Thunder Supreme. A bolt of lightning shot out from his horn and attacked Lu Ming. Dandan! Lu Ming called out and released Dandan from the mountain river diagram, saying, I'll leave this rhinoceros to you. Don't worry, watch me kill him. Dandan's face was full of confidence. Since swallowing the 1,000 spirit crystal in the ruins of God, Dandan had been digesting it. Every day, its strength was improving and recovering. Now, according to him, it had no problem dealing with a great perfection spiritual god. Get lost, the Thunder Rhino Supreme shouted. Dandan retracted its 4 limbs into the turtle shell. The turtle shell rolled and collided with the lightning beam blocking it. A wild rhinoceros dares to be presumptuous in front of me? Watch me peel off your skin. Chapter 1250. Dandan transformed into an incomparably huge tortoise, as tall as the sky. With a slap, it blotted out the sky and covered the sun. Thunder Rhino Supreme was shocked. The lightning all over his body became even stronger. A huge single-horned rhinoceros, formed by lightning, gathered in the air and rushed toward Dandan. Bang! Dandan's slap collided with the huge rhinoceros. With a loud bang, the Thunder Rhinoceros was defeated. Watch my world kill! Dandan shouted. Mysterious patterns appeared on his tortoise shell. These patterns made people dizzy with a glance. It was as if they were peerless patterns that had existed since the beginning of the world. Swish! These patterns gathered and formed a beam of light that shot toward Thunder Rhino Supreme. At the same time, Dandan unfolded his figure. His huge body stepped on the air and charged toward Thunder Rhino Supreme. Thunder Rhino Supreme roared and erupted with all his strength to fight Dandan. However, Dandan was clearly stronger, suppressing Thunder Rhino Prime at a disadvantage. Clang! On the other side, Lu Ming controlled the Thunder Cauldron and collided with the giant hammer formed by Dark Thunder Supreme. Just like last time, the lightning on the giant hammer was absorbed by the Thunder Cauldron. Damn it! Dark Thunder Supreme roared in his heart, feeling that the situation was not good. Last time he fought with Lu Ming. In terms of pure strength, he was stronger than Lu Ming. It was just that he was restrained by Lu Ming's Thunder Cauldron, so he fled in defeat. That was why he joined forces with Thunder Rhino Supreme. Originally, he thought that joining forces with Thunder Rhino Supreme was enough to kill Lu Ming. However, he did not expect that Lu Ming had a terrifying tortoise with him. A tortoise could actually suppress Thunder Rhino Supreme and gain the upper hand. At the same time, he was shocked, and at the same time, he began to think of retreating. Divine Gate 9 Seals. At this moment, Lu Ming transformed back into his human form. While controlling the Thunder Cauldron to attack Dark Thunder Supreme, he formed seals with both hands. Suddenly, 3 sealed doors appeared around Sovereign Dark Thunder. The sealed gate emitted a dazzling light, and the power of the seal bloomed, suppressing Dark Lightning Sovereign. This is Dark Thunder Sovereign's expression changed slightly. Beneath the ceiling gate, he felt that not only his body, but even his true essence and soul were about to be sealed. Open! Dark thunder Sovereign bellowed. His Jianyuan erupted, crazily attacking the sealed door. Immediately, the 3 sealed doors began to tremble violently, as if they had received a terrifying impact. Bubble. At this moment, Lu Ming called out. Chirp, chirp. Bubble chirped and stood on Lu Ming's shoulder, full of energy. Whoosh! At the next moment, Bubble rushed out and disappeared in a flash. It was impossible for the naked eye to capture Bubble's figure because it was traveling through space. Suddenly, a huge transparent bubble appeared, enveloping dark lightning, Sovereign within. At this moment, the giant hammer that Sovereign Dark Thunder had transformed into froze in midair. Time and space? Impossible. A horrified voice came from the giant hammer. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed. He transformed into the suppressing prison monument bloodline and raised his combat strength to the extreme, suppressing the giant hammer. At the same time, the lightning cauldron also blasted towards the giant hammer. Clang! Boom! 2 loud booms rang out as the hammers exploded, revealing a horrified, dark lightning supremacy, who was coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's voice was cold as he continued to attack Dark Lightning Sovereign. At this moment, Dark Lightning Sovereign was desperately trying to break out of the transparent bubble formed by Bubble, wanting to escape. But at this moment, the space trembled, and 4 transparent bubbles appeared at the same time, enveloping Dark Lightning Sovereign from all directions. Dark Lightning Sovereign's body became still again. No! Dark Lightning Sovereign roared in horror. Don't! The lightning cauldron hit his forehead, forcing Dark Lightning Sovereign to swallow back his words. His head was bleeding, and a part of it caved in, almost bursting open. Then Lu Ming arrived again. At this moment, Lu Ming transformed into his human form, holding the blood sword formed by the 3rd bloodline, and slashed at Dark Lightning Sovereign's forehead. Squeak! An ear-piercing sound rang out. In the end, Dark Lightning Sovereign was split in half by Lu Ming's sword. Even the spirit deity couldn't escape. Dark Lightning Sovereign was dead. A supreme expert was killed in one fell swoop under the cooperation of Lu Ming and Bubble. Once upon a time, Supremes were so high and mighty that Lu Ming was like an ant in front of them. But today, Lu Ming had personally killed a supreme martial artist. Whoosh! Bubble flew back to Lu Ming's shoulder, chirping proudly. Lu Ming smiled and touched the little guy. Fortunately, Bubble attacked together. Otherwise, with Lu Ming's current cultivation and combat strength, he wouldn't be able to kill a Supreme. If a Supreme wanted to escape, it was too difficult to kill. But Bubble imprisoned Dark Lightning Sovereign. Not to mention escaping, he couldn't even resist and was killed by Lu Ming in one fell swoop. As expected of one of the top 10 war beasts, the space-time spirit mouse looks so mysterious and powerful. If it grows up and reaches its peak, I wonder how terrifying it will be. Lu Ming sighed in his heart and couldn't help but look forward to it. Lu Ming cooperated with Bubble to kill Dark Lightning Sovereign. It didn't take much time at all, less than a minute. This scene fell into the eyes of Thunder Bull and Thunder Rhino, but they were shocked. Impossible! Thunder Bull uttered a roar, his eyes filled with disbelief. He stood not far away. Initially, he wanted to see Lu Ming being killed with his own eyes. However, he did not manage to see that. Instead, he saw Lu Ming killing a supreme martial artist. He was almost scared to death. Run! Without hesitation, Thunder Bull turned around and fled. Did I say you could leave? Lu Ming's calm voice could be heard. With a flicker, Lu Ming's figure appeared beside Thunder Bull. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? I'm the young master of the Western Sacred Palace. My father is an undefeatable 4th-layer martial dominator realm expert. If you kill me, you'll suffer a horrible fate. Thunder Bull yelled, threatening Lu Ming. Bubble. Lu Ming softly called out. Bubble sprang forward, followed by a transparent bubble. The transparent bubble appeared out of nowhere, as if it had appeared out of nowhere. Even Dark Lightning Sovereign failed to dodge it, let alone Thunderbull. His figure was encapsulated by the bubble, unable to move at all. The transparent bubble contained the will of time and space, capable of sealing everything. No, no. Thunderbull yelled in his heart. He almost burst into tears. Lu Ming remained unmoved. With a slash, Thunderbull's head flew high into the sky. His spirit was destroyed too. Young master! Thunder Rhino let out a roar filled with anger, but more importantly, astonishment. Previously, he had tried to save Qin Nan, but Dandan had kept him busy, preventing him from leaving. I have to leave this place. This man is a monster. Thunder Rhino let out a roar in his heart as he tried to escape. Chapter 1251. Seeing that Dandan had completely suppressed Thunder Rhino Supreme, Lu Ming didn't panic. He first put away Dark Thunder Supreme's blood essence and then stepped toward Thunder Rhino Supreme. Seeing Lu Ming coming, Thunder Rhino Supreme was terrified. He let out a roar and desperately attacked. But the next moment, a transparent bubble appeared, enveloping Thunder Rhino Supreme and imprisoning him. Don't kill me! Spare me! Spare me! Seeing this, Thunder Rhino Supreme was afraid and began to beg for mercy. To be honest, he was still young. From birth until now, he had only lived for 1,000 years. Supremes had 5,000 years of life. He still had a long time, and he didn't want to die. Ridiculous, you wanted to kill me just now, and now you want me to let you go. Lu Ming sneered, his killing intent cold. Bang! Dandan slapped Thunder Rhino Supreme's head, making him dizzy. No, spare me! I can do anything you want. I can join you and be your mount. Thunder Rhino Supreme shouted. At this time, he couldn't care about anything else. He only wanted to save his life. Dandan, wait a minute. Lu Ming's eyes moved. It wasn't a bad idea to take Thunder Rhino Supreme as a mount. After killing Thunder Rhino Supreme, at most he could take away all his materials and his 9 drops of blood essence, which were useful to Lu Ming. But if he took him as a mount, a living supreme being could help Lu Ming do a lot of things. Dandan, do you have a way to control him? Lu Ming asked Dandan. Don't worry, as long as he doesn't resist, I have 100 ways to control him and make him obedient. He won't dare to be disloyal. Dandan said. Thunder Rhino, don't resist. Lu Ming said. Paragon Lightning Rhino had no choice but to do as he was told. He didn't resist, and allowed Dandan to engrave a spell formation into his spirit divinity. If he had any thoughts of betrayal, Dandan could easily kill him. After engraving the matrix, Dandan once again transformed into the appearance of Little Tortoise, while Thunder Rhino Supreme transformed into his human form. He sincerely saluted Lu Ming. His heart was full of helplessness, but in order to save his life, he had no other choice. Lei Shi, I still need to cultivate for a few more days. You stay in the mountain river diagram. After saying that, the mountain river diagram appeared. Grotto Heaven Treasure. Thunder Rhino Supremacy was shocked when he saw this. In his eyes, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable. Beside him was a little tortoise and a plump spirit mouse. They were all terrifyingly strong. Lu Ming's combat strength was even more astonishing. The mountain river diagram glowed and took the Thunder Rhino into the mountain river diagram. Then, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and began to devour Dark Thunder Supremacy's energy and True Yuan. Dark Thunder Supremacy mainly cultivated the Thunder Intent. However, Lu Ming's Thunder Intent had already reached the perfected stage of the Spirit God Realm. It was useless to devour and refine it. Lu Ming devoured the True Yuan energy. Then he found a place and began to refine it. How strong was a Supremacy's True Yuan? The energy essence contained in the blood was also incomparably strong. Lu Ming began to refine it and convert it into True Yuan to improve his cultivation. As he refined it, Lu Ming's cultivation also began to improve. The early 7th level of the spirit god realm. Not long after, it rose to the late 7th level of the spirit god realm, and then the peak 7th level of the spirit god realm. With Lu Ming's current intent, as long as he had enough energy, Lu Ming could rise to the peak 9th level of the spirit god realm. The true yuan in his body circulated and became more and more majestic. In the blink of an eye, a few more days passed. Lu Ming's cultivation finally made another breakthrough and reached the early 8th level of the spirit god realm. The true yuan and blood energy of a supremacy had raised Lu Ming's cultivation by an entire level, reaching the 8th level of the spirit god realm. The true yuan of the 8th level of the spirit god realm is several times stronger than the 7th level of the spirit god realm. Feeling the vast true yuan in his body, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with confidence. With the breakthrough in his cultivation, his combat strength had undoubtedly increased by a large margin. Now, if he used his full strength to kill a genius like the Thunderbull, a single move would be enough. Now he was confident that even if he didn't rely on the lightning cauldron or the bubble, he could still fight a supremacy like Dark Thunder Supremacy with his own combat strength. Of course, there were differences in strength between supremacies. Some supremacies who had awakened the bloodline of the 7th, 8th, or even 9th level of the god realm were naturally stronger. Half a month is almost up. It's time to go back. Lu Ming pondered, then took a step forward and turned into a ray of light, heading towards the ancient city of gods. Soon, Lu Ming returned to the ancient city of gods. Xian Yinqing and Lu Ming walked side by side. There seems to be more people in the ancient city of gods. Xian Yinqing said. Lu Ming nodded. There were people coming and going in the ancient city of gods. It felt like the density of people was greater than before. After asking around, he found out that the celestial god sect's disciple selection was about to reach the end. A large number of experts from all over the ancient city of gods had rushed over to watch. Lu Ming nodded. It wasn't difficult to understand. Since ancient times, it was rare for Yuan Lu's sect to select disciples in the ancient city of gods. It was normal for so many people to be attracted. Lu Ming and Xie Nianqing walked around casually. They had been in seclusion for days, so it was a good time to relax. After walking around for a while, the two of them walked into a luxurious restaurant, intending to eat something. The restaurant's business was very good. Many seats were filled with people. The two of them went all the way to the highest floor before finding a seat and ordering some dishes. The two of them chatted as they ate. After half a month of cultivation, Xian Yanqing's mastery of one of the martial arts techniques that she cultivated had greatly improved. Her combat strength had also increased by a lot. Creak. The 5th floor was divided into 2 areas. One was a private room and the other was an ordinary dining table. At that moment, the door of one of the private rooms opened and 2 young men walked out. Ice Dragon. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. One of the young men was Ice Dragon, who he had defeated. The other young man walked side by side with Ice Dragon. He had a confident smile on his face. Apparently, he was also a genius of the same level as Ice Dragon. They are the geniuses of the Blood Sun continent. Lu Ming looked at the other young man, and his heart skipped a beat. The Blood Sun continent was ranked 2nd among the ancient city of gods. This continent was also filled with experts and geniuses. Although it wasn't comparable to the ancient city of gods, it was stronger than the other continents and could not be underestimated. The two of them walked directly to Lu Ming and Xie Nianqing's table. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly and drank his wine. You are Lu Ming, right? Ice Dragon looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, Not bad. Looks like you have a good memory. Lu Ming said, We'll settle our scores another day. Ice Dragon said and looked at Xian Yanqing. You are Xian Yanqing, right? That's right, Xian Yanqing said. Very good. Your opportunity has come. The person in the private room is young Master Lin, a peerless genius from the heavenly divine sect. He thinks you're not bad, so he asked you to accompany him for a drink. If you accompany him well, you might even have the chance to sleep with him. Then, you'll be able to climb up the social ladder. Ice Dragon said. Chapter 1252. Get lost. Xie Nianqing scolded coldly. What did you say? Bing Bing's face darkened, and so did the Sky Pride from the Blood Sun continent. She asked you to get lost. Didn't you hear her? Lu Ming said indifferently. Brat, what does this have to do with you? Shut up. The Sky Pride from the Blood Sun continent scolded and slapped Lu Ming's face. Slap. A crisp sound rang out. A person staggered back. It wasn't Lu Ming, but the young man from the Blood Sun continent. A palm print appeared on his face, and one side of his face was swollen. He looked at Lu Ming in confusion, unable to wrap his head around the situation. He was the one who made the first move, but Lu Ming's speed was so fast that his slap landed on his face. His head buzzed and he was completely dazed. How dare you, Lu Ming? Do you know that you dare to attack us? Do you know that we represent Sir Lin? Bing Bing scolded. Get lost. Lu Ming scolded, and a cold killing intent erupted from his body. This killing intent made Bing Bing shiver. Who cared if he was Sir Lin, or if he was a Sky Pride from the Celestial Divinity sect? It would be fine if it was something else. But when it came to Xian Yinqing, Lu Ming wouldn't give anyone face. At this moment, a chuckle came from the private room. Then, a handsome young man in a white robe walked out. Lu Ming had seen him before. He was one of the 3 Sky Prides from the Celestial Divinity sect who had come to the Godly Ruins continent. Sir Lin came to Lu Ming's table indifferently. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold and arrogant. He looked down at Lu Ming and said, Miss, it's a pity that you were born in the Godly Ruins continent. Are you willing to follow me? When the time comes, you won't need to participate in the selection. You can directly enter the Celestial Divinity sect to cultivate and become an official disciple. These words made the Sky Prides of the Bloodyang continent and Bing Bing envious. The eyes of the other people in the restaurant were even more fiery. They wished they could be Xian Yinqing and replace Xian Yinqing. Young Master Lin had a confident smile on his face. He believed that in this continent of God, no one would reject such a tempting request. Not interested, Xian Yinqing said coldly, which made young Master Lin's face stiffen. Miss, you'd better consider this carefully. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. Young Master Lin continued. I said I'm not interested. Xian Yinqing's brows furrowed as he grew impatient. Xian Yinqing would have flipped out long ago if it wasn't for the fact that the other party was a genius of the Heavenly God sect. He really doesn't know what's good for him. Short-sighted and pretended to be virtuous. She's just a bitch. Lung Bing and the young man from the Blood Sun continent shouted one after another. Boom! Lu Ming's body exploded with intense killing intent. His cold eyes fell on the young man from the Blood Sun continent. He said in a cold voice, Since you said those words just now, you're dead meat. The Sky Prides of the Blood Sun continent couldn't help but shudder under Lu Ming's cold gaze. However, when he thought of young Master Lin, he regained his courage and said, I'm talking about the matter. What? You still want to attack young Master Lin? Kill. Suddenly, Lu Ming shouted coldly. He rushed out and struck a palm at the young man from the Blood Sun continent. The young man from the Blood Sun continent was also at the 7th level Spirit God realm. However, he was completely stunned by Lu Ming's palm. This palm contained a terrifying pressure that acted on his body, causing him to be unable to move at all. Young Master Lin, help! The young man from the Blood Sun continent shouted in horror. How dare you attack in front of me? Young Master Lin's face was gloomy. His body moved slightly. Almost no one could see his movement clearly. His body suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming and struck a palm at Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming's palm collided with young Master Lin's and made a dull sound. Both of their bodies shook slightly and took a step back. Peak 8th level spirit god realm. Lu Ming's heart jumped. Young Master Lin's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level spirit god realm. Young Master Lin was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Lu Ming to be able to take his palm. However, the coldness in his eyes became stronger. Sky Wind Palm. Young Master Lin's palm emitted a green light. He struck a palm at Lu Ming. There was no doubt that young Master Lin was using a concept martial technique. Moreover, he had reached the 3rd level. Sizzle, there were traces of lightning flashing on Lu Ming's palm. He cast the Thunder God Strike and struck with his palm again, clashing with young Master Lin's palm. Bang! In the end, both of them took a few steps back. You're courting death. Die! Young Master Lin was furious. He felt embarrassed that he couldn't take down Lu Ming in 2 consecutive moves. He was ready to use his killing move to kill Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming used the 9 Dragon Sky stomping steps. His body flashed like a flickering shadow. He stepped over young Master Lin and struck a palm at the youth from the Blood Sun continent. This palm was as fast as lightning. Even young Master Lin couldn't react in time. The youth from the Blood Sun continent widened his eyes in shock. However, in the next moment, his body was torn apart by Lu Ming's palm. He was killed on the spot. Sizzle, many people gasped in shock. Firstly, they were shocked by Lu Ming's battle strength. A peak 7th level spirit god realm genius was as weak as a baby in front of Lu Ming. He couldn't resist at all. Secondly, they were shocked by Lu Ming's courage. He dared to kill a genius who was with young Master Lin in front of him. This was a slap to young Master Lin's face. On the side, Lung Bing's expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated. After not seeing Lu Ming for a while, he felt that Lu Ming's battle strength had become stronger. He was much stronger than the last time he fought with him. This made Lung Bing fearful. Kid, you're courting death. No one can save you. As expected, young Master Lin's expression was extremely gloomy. A green light flickered on his body like a burning green flame. A cold killing intent bloomed in the restaurant. Many people's expressions changed as they retreated out of the restaurant. They were afraid of being affected by this terrifying killing intent. Haha, I'm afraid you're still lacking. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Let's go out and fight. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He didn't give young Master Lin any face. Then he stepped out and appeared in the sky outside the restaurant. You can't escape. Young Master Lin also stepped out and appeared in the sky above the restaurant, facing Lu Ming. The heavenly god sex genius is going to fight. This news spread out like a whirlwind. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Not long after, countless figures appeared in the area, watching from afar. It's really the heavenly god sex genius. Who is that young man? How dare he fight with the heavenly god sex genius? How audacious. Let's not talk about how noble young Master Lin is. Even young Master Lin's combat power is absolutely shocking. Judging from his aura, young Master Lin's cultivation is at the peak of the 8th level spirit god realm. However, young Master Lin is the heavenly god sex genius. His cultivation techniques and martial skills are absolutely top-notch. His battle strength is absolutely terrifying. This person dares to fight with young Master Lin. Who is he? I know him. He seems to be from the Southern Divine Palace. He's from the Divine Wilderness Continent. The Divine Wilderness Continent? That remote place? Chapter 1253. Brat, I'll kill you in 3 moves. Young Master Lin roared. The green light around his body formed a pillar of light that shot up to the sky. Heavenly Wind 100 Palm. Young Master Lin waved his palm. A palm print whistled as it charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped out. 9 dragon powers erupted from his body as he activated the Thunder God Strike. He punched out, and a phoenix formed by lightning flew towards young Master Lin. Boom! The lightning phoenix clashed with Lin Fan's palm print. Break! Young Master Lin revealed a ferocious expression. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the two clashed, young Master Lin's green palm print exploded. The palm print actually released a terrifying force of 100 layers. The thunder and lightning phoenix that Lu Ming cast was defeated in no time. The palm print continued to charge towards Lu Ming. Die, trash! Young Master Lin roared in his heart. What a mystical, intent, realm martial technique. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Young Master Lin's intent realm martial technique was obviously a lower divine martial technique, and he had only cultivated it to the 3rd level. However, the power that it released was extremely shocking. It could only be said that young Master Lin's intent realm martial technique was of high quality. It was even more mystical than the Thunder God strike. It made sense. Young Master Lin was an official disciple of the Divine Sky Sect. Lu Ming had only learned the Thunder God strike in the 1st round of the examination. Naturally, it was impossible for him to learn it as well as young Master Lin. Suppressing Hell Art. Lu Ming activated the Suppressing Hell Art and punched out. Bam! Bam! There was an intense explosion. Lu Ming's punch broke through young Master Lin's force of 100 layers. Then, Lu Ming stepped out and punched out again. This punch was straightforward, but its power was shockingly strong. Young Master Lin struck out a few more times to counter Lu Ming's attack. However, after a few explosions, young Master Lin staggered back. This left everyone flabbergasted. A disciple from the Divine Sky Sect of the Yuanlu continent couldn't defeat Lu Ming? And Lu Ming was only from the Divine Wilderness continent. How could he be so powerful? So shocking? Kill, kill, kill. The gazes of the crowd made young Master Lin go crazy. His murderous intent was at its peak. He was a disciple of the Heavenly Divinity Sect, just like those high and mighty princes of the mortal world who lived in the imperial city. As for Lu Ming, he was from a remote village. There was no way he could compare to him, but now he was being suppressed. How could he tolerate this? He roared in his heart, and his true essence crazily revolved. He wished he could tear Lu Ming to pieces. This is the battle prowess of the Heavenly God Sect's prodigies? In my opinion, you're nothing in the Heavenly Divinity Sect. Otherwise, how could it be so weak? Lu Ming sneered. The Yuanlu was the core of the Yuanlu realm. It was a holy land for cultivators. Many sovereigns racked their brains to join the major factions in the Yuanlu realm. The Celestial Divine Sect was a great sect in Yuanlu. If young Master Lin was really a genius of the Celestial Divine Sect, he wouldn't be so weak. Lu Ming guessed that Sir Lin's position in the Heavenly Divinity Sect was very ordinary. Trash, you're courting death. Lu Ming's words seemed to have hurt young Master Lin, causing him to scream hysterically. He had completely lost his composure. Yes, Lu Ming was right. In the Heavenly Divinity Sect, there were countless prodigies. People like him were at the bottom of the hierarchy. He had to bow and scrape every day and look at other people's faces. Therefore, he took this opportunity to come to the Godly Ruins continent. He originally thought that he would be able to show off and enjoy himself in the Godly Ruins continent. He did not expect to be suppressed and mocked by trash. He went completely berserk. With a screech, a green divine eagle appeared above young Master Lin's head. Without a doubt, it was a level 9 divine bloodline. Its body was emitting a green glow. Young Master Lin transformed into a divine eagle and was about to use his strongest killing move to kill Lu Ming. Enough! At this moment, a majestic voice was heard. A middle-aged man appeared in the sky. This man was also the envoy of the Heavenly Divinity Sect. He had been following behind the white-haired elder. The moment he appeared, he stood in front of young Master Lin. No, a piece of trash dares to insult me. He's not putting the Heavenly Divinity Sect in his eyes. I'm going to kill him. Young Master Lin screamed hysterically. Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? The deacon asked me to bring you back. The middle-aged man said, Upon hearing the word deacon, young Master Lin shuddered. He seemed to be very afraid. He turned his gaze, gritted his teeth, and transformed into his human form. He stared coldly at Lu Ming. "Kid, I'll let you go today. However, this matter is not over yet." Leaving behind a cold sentence, young Master Lin turned around and left the place. The middle-aged man casually glanced at Lu Ming. No one knew what he was thinking, but he turned around and left as well. A great battle ended just like that. The surrounding onlookers felt that it was a pity. This Lu Ming offended young Master Lin. I guess he won't have a good time. It'll be difficult for him to be chosen by the Heavenly Divinity sect. Some people were discussing. "Xiaoqing, let's go." Lu Ming came to Xian Yanqing. "Lu Ming, I've implicated you. I'm afraid that you won't be able to enter the Heavenly Divinity sect because of this," Xian Yanqing said. "Fool, it's fine if I can't enter. At most, we'll go to Yuanlu and find a sect to join." Lu Ming scratched Xian Yanqing's nose and smiled. The two of them returned to their residence. Half a day later, the second round of the Heavenly Divinity sect selection would begin. The remaining 500 geniuses from the 4 directions divine palaces gathered around Tiangang Peak. "What's going on? Why isn't Lanyo here?" The leading elder from the West Divine Palace frowned. Lanyo was one of the 3 strongest supreme talents from the West Divine Palace. Although he had lost one of his arms, his combat strength was still very strong. There was still a chance that he would be chosen by the Heavenly Divinity sect. The West Divine Palace still had high hopes for Lanyo, but at this moment, Lanyo was nowhere to be seen. The leading elder had a bad feeling. "I heard that Lanyo went to the lightning region to cultivate and recover," a young man said. "Did he meet with an accident in the lightning region?" "I heard that he brought experts with him. There were even honorable realm experts." The supreme talents from the West Divine Palace discussed softly, but as time passed, Lanyo still did not appear. Many people knew that Lanyo must have met with an accident. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to not appear. This was the Heavenly Divinity sect selection. 6 figures appeared in the sky. The people from the Heavenly Divinity sect had arrived. The leader was still the white-haired old man. Behind him were 2 burly men. Behind them were 3 young men. Young Master Lin was among them. His gaze swept across and landed on Lu Ming. A cold light flashed in his eyes. "Kid, you're dreaming if you want to join the Heavenly Divinity sect. After this election, I'll find a chance to kill you." Young Master Lin sneered. "All right, the second round of arrangements has been completed." Chapter 1254. Light doors floated in the air. At a glance, there were more than 500 of them. Moreover, with the light doors as the starting point, the void was undulating and trembling. Spiritual consciousness spread out and formed many void passageways. However, it was difficult to see them with the naked eye. Here, every light door represents the entrance of a void passageway. In these void passageways, there will be various tests. Moreover, every 2 of these void passageways can meet at random. The meeting point will be your battlefield. Only the winner will be able to move on. Moreover, we will be able to see the battles at the meeting point. Therefore, you must do your best," the white-haired old man explained. What a wonderful selection method. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. More than 500 people would enter a void passageway. After passing the test, 2 void passageways would meet at random. The 2 people in the 2 void passageways would fight. The winner would continue to pass the test, while the loser would be eliminated. This would continue until the most powerful person was determined. Moreover, the people of the Celestial God sect could see from the outside. Therefore, they could observe everyone's performance and choose the most suitable disciples. "All right, now you can choose any light door and enter," the white-haired old man announced. However, before he could finish, his expression suddenly changed, and he looked up at the sky. High up in the sky, there were 9 ancient altars floating. Legend had it that the 9 altars were once connected to the 9 major forces of Yuanlu in the distant past. They were the spatial passageways that connected each other. The celestial god sect had come from one of the ancient altars. At this moment, one of the 8 altars was shining. This scene caused everyone's hearts to tremble. The ancient altars were shining. Could it be that another major force of Yuanlu was coming? Could it be that other major forces of Yuanlu are coming? Oh my God, it's already a surprise that the celestial god sect is coming. Not bad, this is a great opportunity. Many people were discussing excitedly. Even the sovereigns were extremely excited as they stared at the altars. What's going on? Which force is it? Behind the white-haired old man, a big man frowned and said. The white-haired old man also frowned. Buzz! The altars shook slightly. Many inscriptions were shining and the light was getting brighter. In the end, a few figures emerged from the altar. There were a total of 5 people. 2 of them were young, while the other 3 were middle-aged men and a middle-aged woman. However, judging from the situation, the middle-aged woman was the leader. All 5 of them carried long swords on their backs and wore long purple robes with strange patterns embroidered on them. 9 Heaven Sword Sect. The heavenly god sect's white-haired elder's expression changed. Looks like I'm not late. I've finally made it. The middle-aged woman with a long sword on her back said, 9 Heaven Sword Sect, what are you doing here? The white-haired elder from the celestial god sect said coldly, of course we're here to select young geniuses to join our 9 Heaven Sword Sect. Am I not welcome? The middle-aged woman smiled. Humph! The heavenly god sect was the first to arrive at the continent of divine ruins. All of this was set up by us. The white-haired old man said with a cold face, you guys are just one step ahead of us. Moreover, how much effort would it take to set up all this? The Godly Ruins Continent Group doesn't only belong to your heavenly god sect. Our 9 Heaven Sword Sect can naturally come as well. The middle-aged woman said indifferently. At the side, the people from the Continent of Divine Ruins group were extremely excited when they saw this scene. Another Yuanlu sect had arrived. Moreover, they were here to recruit disciples as well. With this, the chances of being selected would undoubtedly be higher, especially those young geniuses who were overjoyed. Buzz! At this moment, the altar above them shook again and emitted light. Everyone was dumbfounded. It's moving again. Could it be that another Yuanlu sect is here? What's going on? In the past, no Yuanlu sect had ever come to the continent of divine ruins to recruit disciples. Why are there so many Yuanlu sects here this time? This is good news. This is good news. Everyone was discussing excitedly. However, in the next moment, their pupils dilated rapidly. That was because other than that altar, there was another altar that was emitting light. The people from the continent of Divine Ruins group were stunned. The Yuanlu sects were coming one after another. The white-haired elder from the Heavenly God sect and the others looked extremely gloomy. Buzz! Buzz! The 2 altars emitted 2 soft cries, and a few figures appeared on each of them. 5 figures appeared on one of the altars. All of them were men, and they emitted an aura of superiority. They were like the kings of the beasts. On the other side, 6 figures appeared. Each of them had a monstrous demonic aura, and their demonic aura shook the world. Both sides had young geniuses following them, and they were looking at each other curiously. Heavenly Universe, Demon Sect, Divine Dragon Valley. The white-haired elder muttered as a dignified look flashed across his eyes. Ha ha ha, looks like we are not late. The Heavenly God sect has not succeeded yet. A burly man laughed from the side that was filled with the aura of the kings of the beasts. They were from the Divine Dragon Valley. It's good that we are not late. The side that was filled with demonic aura was from the Heavenly Universe, Demon Sect. A tall and skinny elder said faintly, the 9 Heaven Sword Sect, Heavenly Universe, Demon Sect, and Divine Dragon Valley stepped out and stood with the people from the Heavenly God Sect. It's too easy for you to come now. Everything was set up by us. The white-haired elder said, It's just some setup. We will compensate you according to its value. The middle-aged lady from the Nine Heaven Sword sect said, That's right. These are small matters. The tall and skinny elder from the Heavenly Universe Demon sect sneered. In the end, the white-haired elder had no choice but to allow the other three forces to participate in the selection of disciples. These three forces were not weaker than the Heavenly God sect in the Yuanlu. They were forces of the same level. At the scene, more than 500 young geniuses were excited and their eyes shone with a fiery light. The four major forces of the Yuanlu had come to recruit disciples. This was a supreme opportunity, and they were filled with anticipation. They swore to themselves that they would seize it well. All right, now you may begin. The white-haired elder looked at Lu Ming and the others again. Let's go. This is my opportunity. I must join the major forces of the Yuanlu. I must break through the sovereign realm and become a sage. I must reach the peak. No one can stop me. Each of the geniuses' eyes shone brightly as they rushed towards the light doors. Whoosh! Whoosh! Each of the geniuses rushed into the light doors excitedly and disappeared. Xiaoqing, let's go. Lu Ming looked at Xie Nianqing. Xie Nianqing nodded his head, and the two of them flew towards a light door. You, stop right there. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. A figure appeared in front of Lu Ming and blocked his path. It was Master Lin, the genius from the Heavenly God sect. Chapter 1255. But now the situation had changed. The Nine Heaven Sword sect, the Heavenly Universe Demon sect, and the Divine Dragon Valley had gathered. Even if the Celestial Divine sect did not choose Lu Ming, there was a possibility that he would join the other three sections. Young Master Lin would never allow such a thing to happen. Therefore, he stood out and stood in front of Lu Ming. Many people looked at young Master Lin in surprise, not understanding what was going on. But some people were enlightened because they knew about the conflict between Lu Ming and young Master Lin. Half a day ago, Lu Ming and young Master Lin had a conflict and even fought. In the end, young Master Lin could not do anything to Lu Ming. I knew it would not end like this. What? There's such a thing? Lu Ming is so powerful that even the sky prides of the Heavenly God sect can't do anything to him? I think young Master Lin did not use his full strength. But Lu Ming's combat strength is too terrifying. If I did not see it with my own eyes, I would not believe it. Many people were discussing. Many people were shocked when they heard about the conflict between Lu Ming and young Master Lin. The white-haired elder and the others of the Heavenly God sect were surprised, but they did not say anything. The people of the other sects looked on with interest. You, what do you want? Lu Ming frowned and said coldly, You are not qualified to enter the Void Passage and participate in the test. Young Master Lin said, Ridiculous. You think I'm not qualified just because you say so? Lu Ming sneered. Deacon. At this moment, young Master Lin cupped his fists at the white-haired elder and said, Deacon, Lu Ming has no respect for the Celestial Deity sect. He thinks that he has some talent, but he doesn't take the Celestial Deity sect seriously. If such a person joins the Celestial Deity sect, he will be an arrogant and unruly person. He is not worthy of being nurtured by the Celestial Deity sect. Oh, there's such a thing? The white-haired elder frowned. Haha, what nonsense. When have I been disrespectful to the Heavenly God sect? If I don't bow to you, is that disrespectful to the Heavenly God sect? Lu Ming sneered. Lu Ming, don't try to quibble. I heard you speak arrogantly and look down on my Heavenly God sect. Also, Ice Dragon can testify. Young Master Lin said, That's right, this is true. Ice Dragon said coldly, Not only that, Vice Deacon Zhao can also testify. Young Master Lin looked at the middle-aged man behind the white-haired old man. This middle-aged man was the one who had taken young Master Lin away. At this moment, the middle-aged man nodded and said, There is indeed such a thing. The fact that two people had come forward to testify caused the white-haired old man to frown even more. He pondered for a moment and said, "If that's the case, then this kid doesn't need to participate in the trial." Young Master Lin was overjoyed at his words. Lu Ming, on the other hand, burst into laughter. This was blatant slander. From the beginning to the end, Lu Ming had only targeted young Master Lin. He had never said a single bad word about the Celestial God sect. This was purely false. Also, that middle-aged man had obviously colluded with young Master Lin, who knew what benefits young Master Lin had given him. No one from the other three major sects spoke. In their eyes, Lu Ming was just an insignificant character. They did not take him seriously at all. Ridiculous, this is really ridiculous. Is this the disciple of a major sect in Yuanlu? His talent is average, and his character is even worse. Lu Ming laughed out loud, his eyes filled with mockery. "Kid, what did you say? Who are you calling average?" Young Master Lin was furious. "Of course I'm talking about you. If the Celestial God sect is like you, then I don't mind not joining the Celestial God sect." Lu Ming mocked. "Presumptuous! How dare you?" The middle-aged man from the Celestial God sect and young Master Lin both shouted in an overbearing manner. "Kid, you escaped death last time. This time you're dead." Young Master Lin's eyes were cold and his killing intent was extremely dense. It shrouded Lu Ming. "I escaped death last time? Are you sure you're not the one who escaped death last time? All right, I'll challenge you in front of everyone now. I'll defeat you in 10 moves. Do you dare to accept the challenge?" Lu Ming took a step forward. His voice was filled with battle intent, and it spread far and wide. "What?" Lu Ming challenged young Master Lin and said he'll defeat him in 10 moves. "Crazy, he's crazy. He's definitely crazy. That's the supreme talent of the Celestial God sect." Lu Ming's words caused an uproar. The Celestial God sect was a major sect in Yuanlu. In the hearts of the people in the Divine Ruins mainland, it was a high and mighty existence. It was an unfathomable and powerful force. The supreme talent of the Celestial God sect was a peerless existence in the hearts of the people. Now, Lu Ming had challenged young Master Lin. What was even more exaggerated was that he wanted to defeat young Master Lin in 10 moves. How was that possible? No one would believe it. At that moment, some of the supreme talents who had not flown into the light door stopped. They were not in a hurry to go in. Instead, they stood outside and watched. Lu Ming is strong in the Divine Wilderness mainland. However, he still dares to be so arrogant here. He even dares to offend the supreme talent of the Celestial God sect. He's courting his own death. Underworld Child stood in the air and sneered. "What do you know?" "I don't think so." A voice was heard. It was Long Chen's voice. Underworld Child's expression changed slightly. He was very wary of Long Chen. However, he felt disdain in his heart. He thought to himself, just wait and see. This Lu Ming will die miserably. At that moment, almost everyone's gaze fell on young Master Lin. A supreme talent from a small continent had challenged the supreme talent of the Celestial God sect. Would young Master Lin accept the challenge? If he didn't accept the challenge, he would lose all his face. If this matter was spread to the Celestial God sect, he wouldn't be able to show his face anymore. Damn it! Young Master Lin roared in his heart. His eyes were extremely cold as he said, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." When he fought with Lu Ming previously, he didn't use his full strength. He was confident that if he used his full strength, he would definitely be able to kill Lu Ming. Needless to say, it was impossible for Lu Ming to defeat him within 10 moves. Kill! Young Master Lin was filled with killing intent. His aura was shocking as a green light filled the air. A bloodline appeared above his head. Young Master Lin used his full strength right from the start. He executed the bloodline fusion technique to the maximum and charged towards Lu Ming. Roar! Roar! Dragon roars sounded from Lu Ming's body. 9 streaks of dragon energy burst out instantly. At the same time, the third bloodline appeared. Swoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and charged towards young Master Lin. As he charged, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. When Lu Ming's 9 dragons' bloodline appeared, the experts of the Divine Dragon Valley widened their eyes in shock. This is the 9 dragons' bloodline! It really is the 9 dragons' bloodline. I can't believe someone can awaken the 9 dragons' bloodline in this world. Voices of disbelief were heard from the experts of the Divine Dragon Valley. The Divine Dragon Valley wants this kid. The leader of the Dragon God Valley was a burly man with a burning gaze. As the name suggested, the Divine Dragon Valley was related to dragons. Now that they saw the 9 dragons' bloodline, it was too shocking. Bam! Bam!